So we're here, so he's
Yeah. Good morning, everyone. We will
good.
start the meeting with Pledge Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, God, these new chairs are nice, Barry. All right, do we have any adjustments or changes to the agenda?
I don't have any.
I don't have any. The only, this isn't a change, but under planning and zoning, when we get to the environmental assessment, we will allow public comment during that time. So if anybody is signed up for the open forum, you can defer your time to that time. I don't know if anybody signed up for the open forum yet. What? Okay. So you signed up for the open forum, Matt. You probably didn't know that. Okay. Okay. All right. So do you want to? You're good. You're good. We're good. All right. So with no changes to the agenda, do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
All right. We have a motion by Phil. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Erica. Any discussion? Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. Motion carries. All right. Minutes of July 1st meeting. Do we have any corrections to the minutes?
I figured out the couple that I had under page 2. Oh, never mind. Forget that one. The other one was under Judy's report. I'm just wondering where it said that there were 15 calls from after hours, if we should include the breakdown of who they were for, like the however many for Becker, however many for Clearwater. Okay. Yeah, and how many for White Earth. That was all I had.
Does anybody else have any?
Mr. Chair, on page 2 under number 4 report, waiting for Pelican River Watershed District building agreement, I think removal should be crossed out. It's not necessarily removal. It's just a building agreement.
Yep.
Then under sheriff on page 3, I would like on number 2 that this is reimbursed or motion, not number 1, that's reimbursed by WeFest, the 28 shifts.
Yes.
And under number 3 of land use, disposal of property, that property should be listed, I believe. Otherwise, we will just throw everything in there and that was it.
Does anybody else have any additions or corrections to the minutes? All right, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Phil. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Erica. Any more discussion on the minutes? All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. All right, consent agenda. Is there any items in the consent agenda that we would like to pull out?
Mr. Chair, I would like number 5 pulled out, number
5.
number 6 and number 9.
6.
I guess number 6, the only thing
Was the number?
No, number 6, I was wondering if we have to accept that grant because it doesn't state that in the.
Oh, yeah, it doesn't. Number. Eric, could you?
Do we have to accept the grant? I'm guessing the board does, yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I thought we did, yeah.
It doesn't state that in.
It doesn't state that in there. Denise?
I mean, we accept the donation, but we don't accept the grant.
Yeah, we accept the donation, we don't accept the grant.
The grant is just a donation.
Mm-hmm.
So pull it and write up accept the donation for it.
Yeah, we can just do
or
that.
the grant.
Mr. Chair, I'd like item number 7, just for clarification on that. I guess I don't understand it, so just wanted to ask you questions there.
Okay.
Do you want to ask questions now, or do we want to?
Well, it's up to,
Why don't you go ahead and ask it now?
that's one of our EDA properties, right?
Correct, yep.
Yep.
So what are we paying for on that?
Well, it's the B-Cow, the mental health.
Across from Lincoln Health, yeah, I know where it is.
Yep, no, the mental health initiative, so I think it's 4 different counties that provide the mental health services there. They rent it from the EDA, so they pay for the lease.
Okay,
The lease
It's similar to the EDA, the Becker County Workshop, where the extension office is. Extension, it's just
I think maybe what we could have is pull it from the agenda so Denise can just explain what willow tree is for.
Yeah.
you know what, and I can do that later. I just, when I think EDA, I think of housing, and I didn't know this was part of this.
It was a housing building, and I think it was converted to a, kind of a,
it's a fourplex. I
is it
think.
an emergency or a,
Yeah, it's a crisis,
it's a crisis bed.
mental health crisis.
You know what, let me follow up with
So
Cody.
we do not need to.
We do not need to.
And
pull
then,
that.
and then we're not gonna, when you're good on number 6?
We need to write up
Accept the
we
grant.
have to write something up.
We have to write
because there's
something up,
nothing,
yeah.
So we have to pull it
We have to pull it to,
to
okay.
have something.
Okay, so we're we'll pull 5 and 6, so we need Denise here for 5, I think, for sure.
I think she's online. Do you want to put that after me, or do you want to do that now?
Denise, if she's there right now, we can do it now.
Well, all we need to do is include under the human services grant, just something stating.
Something stating that we're accepting the grant, yeah.
Do we need it written, or can we just make a motion?
There she
I
is.
think you can make a motion.
Oh,
because
there's
it'll be in the
Denise
minutes.
right there. Yeah, I think we just made a
Hi,
mo-
I'm here, Mr. Chair. I guess that was our intention for putting it on the agenda, was to ask for approval of the grant agreement.
Okay, so we have to state
Maybe it
that,
should have been done separately in a resolution. I'm not sure what
That would have been.
you're thinking, but
It was done for the donation. There was a separate.
there's
Correct.
a separate resolution,
There's
yeah.
not anything.
and I think
except for
the reason we didn't was just because we had the grant agreement. So we were asking for approval of the grant agreement, which would have been the same effect.
Is a grant agreement in here?
I don't see a grant agreement.
Yeah, I don't either.
Oh, it should have been included.
I see a summary
thought-
of a grant on that.
Oh, I apologize for that. There should have definitely been a grant agreement included.
Or is this the grant agreement? No, that's not.
That's just the lease agreement
just-
for the
yeah, yeah,
equipment.
yeah.
Well, send us over the grant agreement.
Yeah.
We can approve that.
Yes,
Yeah, if you can send that, then we can approve that later.
okay.
And I just, on number 5, I
Oh,
just,
wait.
Wait,
It does say here, amount awarded, 2,994. Terms and condition equipment granted, 2,090. So there, it is in. here.
oh, yeah, it does, yeah, okay. Yep, so is that good? Or do you want the,
let me look real quick. What page are you?
Page 13.
There you go, yes.
amount awarded project, yeah, that's right, grantee terms, yeah, that's. Grant terms,
And then that's the correct amount, 2994?
Yep,
Not
that is
Correct.
the correct, that's the correct amount from Essentia, yeah.
Okay, that's fine. And then just on number,
5. Right,
what kind of water what, is that just a
I had a
bottled
question on
water?
that.
You know, it's water and ice.
Water and ice machines for the
Machine.
basement and the upstairs. There's no water fountains on those floors.
Is there no capacity for water fountains?
That I don't know.
They have been, these machines have been there from this equipment for 10 years. I
Is
don't
there
know.
no capacity for,
Oh,
is there
I'm
no
sure
capacity
somebody
for
put one
fountains?
in.
We just put one in here. I'm just curious if it's,
There
That's a
are
question.
2 water fountains in the building as well.
One on the main floor and one,
One on the second floor.
the second and third.
I had the same, Mr. Chair, I had the
Yeah.
same question, and Eric and I talked about this a little bit yesterday. Erica, you had said that in previous years, the staff had done that on their own, and then the county took that over.
Yeah, previous years, meaning like, what year is it, 2025? 8 years ago. I would say the county probably started paying it previous to that. When I worked there, the employees pitched in money every year and we paid it. And then at some point, the board decided that the county would cover it. I don't remember. Maybe Denise remembers when that happened, but
I don't recall right offhand. I'd have to look back, but I want to say it's right around 8 to 10 years ago as well. The board members at that time of the Human Services Committee, at least I recall, it was Ben Grimsley and Don Scary, and they treated it like it was a cost of doing business and thought that it was similar to buying coffee for the building at the courthouse or here, for example. And so then it's been like that for at least 8 to 10 years. We just changed out the equipment to a newer model at a $20 a month increase.
Richard, it's your department.
I know it, I didn't understand why we had it, but it's been there for a long time, so I guess I don't know what to say about, I didn't know what to say about it when it surprised me that we did have a water machine there. But it was ahead of my time, and so I really don't know what to say, whether we should have it or not.
If I could just add that it provides cold water, but it also provides hot water for tea and other items. And I know the staff really appreciate that, as well as the ice, especially in the summer months, as you can imagine.
Denise, is it used only for staff or is it used for the public as well?
It could be used for staff or public. Yeah, whoever's in the building.
I guess I just look at if there's water fountains available. I mean, I don't know what this is specifically, but I would like, I mean, we have water fountains and bottled water. I don't know why that, and they're cooled, they're not, but, and there's an expense to those also, but I don't understand, do we pay someone to bring water in, or is it a fountain, or a filtered, or how?
It is filtered. It's a machine that filters the water. Yeah, they don't come in and
I'm not going to support it just because I don't know enough about it, and that we can't just use their own drinking fountain, and so.
Well, do you guys, is there bottle?
But it's not significant amount that we're discussing, so.
No, it's not.
But I would need to, I just don't think, I'm not sure that it's necessary. If we can put a drinking fountain there, I don't.
I'm not sure either, but it's been there how did it get there and been there all these years and we've been paying for it? And I don't know how. Yeah.
Well, is the
We
committee?
don't need to pull it from the consent agenda if no one else wants to pull it, so.
Is the committee recommended, right? Okay.
Was it unanimous at the committee to recommend it? Were you supporting it?
Well, I didn't understand it, but I also did not have a problem giving them ice and filtered water since it's been there for all these years. And I did not know that they paid for it before that. I didn't know. I just know it's been there. I didn't put it there. I certainly don't want to take it away now. I'm not saying I would put a new one in there if they didn't have one, but
how much does it cost for a drinking fountain? To put a drinking fountain in?
They have drinking fountains, but I know the ice, they like the ice.
Yeah.
They all said that they liked getting the ice out of there. I really don't want to take it away from them. They do a really good job over there, so.
I think what it is these machines provide water then on each floor for each employee. There isn't a drinking fountain in the basement and there isn't a drinking fountain on the very top floor. So that's where the two water machines are.
They tap into our water though. they must tap into our water
They
system.
they
So that,
I'm sure they are. If they're filtering it, they're tapped into the city water.
we could easily, I mean,
I don't know if a drinking fountain's cheaper though, to be honest with you, put 2 drinking fountains in there. I mean,
And I
Over
don't know. I
time,
don't-
over
yeah,
time
it
maybe,
would-
but
it
not
would be
right
a long
away. No.
time.
Yeah. It
So
might
I-
take a long time.
like I said, I think there's a lot of hardworking people over there, and I don't want to be the one to take their water away now after they've had it all.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Vartberg, I mean, you've said that there's hardworking people over there. I mean, we've got hardworking people at
We're
solid
not-
waste. We've
I
got
didn't
hardworking
say
people.
that,
Yeah,
Phil.
I
I
know,
said
but
there's hardworking people over there. So now you're picking, don't start adding stuff to something I say. I'm not taking their water or any of their stuff away either. I'm just saying that we have really good employees over there, and the water machine has been here all this time. I'm not the guy that wants to take it away. I didn't give it to them, but I don't want to take it away from them, and that's where I'm at.
And I think, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
Commissioner Henson, I think where you were going is that other buildings, then what do we do if other
provide it
buildings
for other buildings,
want it?
yes.
And I think in those cases, those buildings have water fountains accessible to them. You know, I think the highway has a brand-new water fountain. Here has a brand-new water fountain. Human Services doesn't on 2 of the floors, which is what this is for. So it's not that we're
I don't think
providing
anyone,
them a better,
I don't think anyone wants to not have water fountains on the floor, water access, but
Mhm.
is this the best option? Or would an in-house option be better? That's the question.
Mhm.
So I would just like to have that, I would like that considered, and at the end of the day, we might go this route. But I think you ask your maintenance and what the expense would be, and if that's my opinion. Now, if you decide to move forward with this today, that's your opinion. So
well,
it's not
we just put a drinking fountain in here, at the courthouse.
Yeah.
And how
right.
much did that cost?
It was several thousand. We upgraded. It was just where you drink from it, so it wasn't a fillable one, and it's also accessible to the public. And we had some well, no, I'm taking that backwards. It was a fillable one, not a drinkable one.
Yeah.
We had people trying to drink out of the.
Yeah.
Oh,
So it was upgraded.
and that was several thousand?
It was
Yes.
2 something.
Yeah, it was under.
We recently did an upgrade to one of the water fountains and it was around $3,000, if I recall.
Yeah, that's what I recall too.
Mhm.
And the life expectancy for a water fountain is more than 10 years.
True.
What do we-
I'm fine with moving forward. It doesn't have to be pulled, but I won't support the consent agenda with it being on there, so it's up to you guys. You leave it on there, leave it on there.
Do you,
Well, we can pull it off and vote on it?
yeah, let's do
Well,
that.
let's do that.
Do you wanna
Let's pull
move
it
it
off
under
and
me?
vote on
Let's-
it. I don't know how it got there, Barry, but you were here when it got there. That's all I'm saying.
I don't know, it came to board. It's not a significant amount. A department head
My
paid off
department head might approve it.
annual lease.
So, Mr. Chair, do you want to add number 5 under me
Yeah, we'll add number 5 under the
as an
county.
item?
Well,
Yep.
I just want to say, if then this doesn't need to come to board if we're saying that
It probably
the
shouldn't have.
department head could approve it. We're looking at $1,200 a year.
That's true.
And
So-
several $1,000s for new fountains, and we need 2 of them then. So,
So it is under,
Several thousand is several thousand, yeah.
well, I'll make a motion to,
should we just move it to the underneath the county administrator?
I
And then
think that would be
let's
cleaner
do
if you're
that.
going to do a separate action item,
Let's do that.
if that's what you're.
So it's
choosing to do.
gonna be number 4. Number
Under
4,
the County administrator.
yeah, it'll be number 5 will be number 4.
Okay, got it.
Mr.
If that
Chair,
makes any sense.
I notice item 5 has 4 individual items on them. Are we just taking out the one item?
Which one?
Well, we've got the water thing, we've
They're
got the.
separate.
Yeah, they're
They're
separate on the
So-
consent.
We're just
No,
taking out the
no.
water. We're taking out.
They're all
Oh,
included in item number 5.
That's number 4. Number 4 is the contract and agreement
Yeah,
summary.
number 5 is Human Services Pure Water Technology of the North
I-
Rental Agreement.
I
So that's
bel-
one we're pulling.
Yeah,
We're just pulling number 5.
the water. cooler or filtration.
Okay.
And then the last one we have is number 9. We'll move, Steve is in here later today, so we'll move number 9 to, we'll add an item to his agenda on,
Not under me, okay.
yeah, on number 3. All right. So do we have any other things we'd like to do with the consent agenda?
Motion to approve consent.
All right, motion by Barry, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Erica, do we have any more discussion? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. All right, open forum, we've already taken care of the open forum. All right, we'll move on to reports and correspondence.
I'll go first. Sat in on a Zoom about Minnesota demographics. I think Carrie did too. Just super, super interesting. Deaths are increasing and we're flatlining on births. So that was the big takeaway. But also they pulled out one item. Usually they say, you know, metro and rural and small cities, but they pulled out recreational counties, which I thought was really interesting, which we are. And they had a slight increase in population to those counties. Now, how we make our decisions here is informed by a lot of things, but this might be one of them. And I just thought it was good information. Hard to encapsulate all of that, but if we could send that out, Peggy, I think there's a link, we could send that out to everybody, couldn't we?
Yes, we have the PowerPoint, and actually I was going to reference a couple
Okay,
of those
good.
slides. I
Okay.
could do that later.
No,
now.
you do it, you do
Okay,
it, yep.
all right.
I also had the RAC committee yesterday, Dunlocks, we got the sign off from the DNR. We're still talking about doing a little additional parking there. The watershed building update. So I talked to the watershed, I said, why isn't this moving along? They want until August 1st to get their stuff out of there. So that's been kind of the holdup. But after that,
So they don't want to sign it until August 1st?
they said they wanted till August 1st to get their equipment out of there. So I guess,
Mr. Chair, with that too, we did target August 1 originally, so I'm sure they're taking, you know, the amount of time that they need to get their things out, so.
yep. And then we'll move forward after that. We did talk about that at the RAC committee, what we're going to do with that afterwards. Heartland Trail to Frazee, I believe it's complete. They're going to have a ribbon cutting on July 23rd. If anybody wants to go, I think it's 10 o'clock in the morning, but better double check that. We talked about Wanagan Park. They're going to be doing some work inside Wanagan Park this year with some trails, some paved trails. Osage Swim Beach, they did get the rebar, the everything sticking out of the water at that nice swim beach out of there. We discussed that, and we also discussed, I guess, we're not sure who owns the property adjacent and around there, so they're doing a little survey to make sure we do own it. I think it says tax forfeited land right now. The township is also involved across the street, across Highway 34 from the swim beach on the south side. The township has asked if we could take care of that park, I think the bathrooms and stuff. So we're going to engage the township and just see what that looks like moving forward. And kind of, we talked about it as a whole piece, the swim beach across the street. We talked about, you know, could that be trails? DNR owns some land right off. You know, could we turn that into something? Also talked about.
There's access to the river then, from the public.
River's
from
on the south side.
Right.
But I mean, you could have a walk-in, carry-in access for kayak canoe on that side. I was surprised that it's really a nice shelter.
It is a nice
I
one.
mean, I wasn't aware of it until we looked at it.
It's a great little location, and, you know, in my short time here, I mean, one area where we can really move Becker County forward, I think, is recreation. I mean, there's a lot of things in that area where, and this is one of them. Obviously, we have to fund these things, but it's one area where I really think we can improve. It was one of our best meetings I thought we had yesterday, and just talking about all these things.
I agree with you. However, I think one thing that we run up against sometimes when we look at recreation is just thinking back to our Toad Mountain, you know, issue where there are things that we think would be good for as far as moving forward with recreation, but those that live around it may not agree. So that's just something I think we need to keep in mind as we move forward with any big changes.
Yes, so in the future, we want to have 100% of all people agree on everything.
No, but we need to get local input.
I'm just kidding.
Barry, I'm not going to say you're right today.
The last meeting, I was right 4 times.
Yeah, I think it was either 3 or 4, yeah.
So that's all Osage Swim Beach there. So we're trying to make some inroads there and come up with some ideas at least, look for partners. The last thing was Little Sugar Bush. There's a beautiful building out there, beautiful house. It's a tax forfeit property. There's 30 acres there. We had rigorous discussion about can we do something there? We talked about moving the house out and turn it into some kind of a park, do something there. So we're exploring options. Mitch went to the township last night. They had their meeting and was going to report back next month. So the RAC committee, it all have to come through NRM, but we're going to come up with some good ideas and then we'll just have to see where we can go from there.
When I was at that meeting, the last one before that, some of those guys there talked about talking to the neighbors. Did anybody ever?
Yeah, Karen.
Karen went and talked to the neighbors?
She did, yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yep, and we're going to talk to the township and, we want buy-in from everybody around there and, Wanagan Park, I don't think is going to be really controversial. They got the regional designation. I mean, move forward. I don't think, this is your area, but Osage, they have a swim
No,
beach.
I don't think
Improve
Osage
it.
will.
The township just can't care for the park on the south. They don't have the people, the Lions Club or whatever. So get with the township and see if there's something we can collectively do together. So that's all it was, really.
Osage is really more about improving something that the locals already use.
It's already there, right?
Yep.
Right?
Or more so, some commitment long-term, so. But yes, you're right. It's something that we have to make.
Yep.
That we want to keep
Yeah.
as a county.
Absolutely. The Heartland Trail could possibly come through there someday. We don't know that, but it would be a nice stop-off area. It would be what do you call it? You can park your vehicles there and go any direction. So it's just, you gotta think out 20 years and think of.
Phil, have you had any more contact on the Frazee, with the DNR on that?
The Eagle Lake.
Eagle Lake, yes. Yes.
Okay, good. And
I keep, everybody, it's on the front burner, but we got to get somebody moving on it.
and sometimes sometimes we feel like we don't do much as a county commission or individually, but these are things that if it wasn't for individuals that working at it, they would not be available. There's lots of examples that if you're that you can claim as I helped do this, and without us, we wouldn't get it. And I think hopefully that's going to be one of them. But
that is one that's on the front burner for me. I go to the Frazee council meetings. They're aware. They're taking some action. Their attorney, yep. So yep, I'm very aware of what's going on there and trying to push it forward. Yep. That's all I got.
All right, who'd like to go next?
I can go next. Richard and I had Human Services. Most of what we discussed was on the agenda. A couple additional things, their child protection unit got 100% in their ICWA audit review. They were one of only 6 units in the whole state to get a 100%. And that is attached to funding, and how that is really significant, in my opinion, because that means, A, they're doing really, really good work. And it's really, as evidenced by only 6 counties getting 100%, it's difficult to get. It's a lot of documentation, a lot of efforts with the families to make sure that they're providing those active efforts, which is going to come into play in a couple years when the Minnesota African American Family Preservation Child Welfare Disproportionality Act comes into play.
Hey, you can say she's right, Barry, it's okay.
you're right. I don't know if she's right or not. I don't know.
I am right, Barry. So I just wanted to.
Mad Act, isn't it?
Well, now they just call it the act, but it's so much funner to say. So I just wanted to make sure that we recognize them for their good work. And then we did also review the budget. So far, the Human Services budget is at 35% of the budgeted expenditures and 46% of the revenue. A little note about the revenue is that is a little behind. This is as of June 30th, so they are still getting some of the revenue in. So they should be at that 50% or a little bit over for revenue that they bring in.
Your expenditures are down in the 30s?
35% of expenditures.
And sometimes that affects your revenues, and if your expenditures are down, it could mean too that your revenues might not be at your anticipated number too.
Yeah, well, I'm potentially, I don't know about really in human services.
But your margin there is huge, so that's the positive.
Yep. We did also briefly discuss the changes to SNAP and Medicaid that are coming as the result of the federal bill. I did learn that most of those aren't going to come into effect, like the administration fees, until I believe 2027. So that'll give a year for the state to figure out what they're going to do with the difference in that administration fee that the county will potentially have to pick up. So.
I thought the SNAP Ed employees lost their jobs
The
almost.
SNAP Ed
Yeah.
did. SNAP Ed is all through University of the Extension, U of M Extension. Not we didn't have SNAP Ed in Becker County, so it didn't. A SNAP Ed worker designated to Becker County.
We have a SNAP Ed worker designated to the region, not
To the
just,
region.
not just Becker
Correct.
County. They were.
Yep. And it, just a shout out to the SNAP Ed. They work very, very closely with our Becker County food shelf to get the new system. That new system at the food shelf is a result of the SNAP Ed program. So it is a loss for us to lose that SNAP Ed program. And then we don't know what the Medicaid, we'll see. It's again to be continued this year. So that's all for human services. Then we also had our housing subcommittee. We had continued contract discussions. It's coming to that point where we will start the contract discussions with MMCDC, and we really need to decide, I think, this year whether or not we're going to bring it in-house or continue to have MMCDC do our housing management. This is, I think, would be the third year that we would have a 1-year contract, and I think this will probably be the last year. So that's why I say we need to either decide or we need to sign a multi-year contract. We hopefully will know by August we'll for sure know what the increase is going to be from MMCDC. But we talked at length at our housing committee of what would we need, what would that look like, where would they go? So hopefully.
Have you looked at the
We'll
City
know.
of Detroit Lakes partnership?
Yep, Cody looked at it, and Carrie, correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, you don't need to go.
Yeah,
into
there's
detail.
something with a joint, with
Well,
it being the
And,
city and with it being the county. And
They're not that interested.
Yeah.
So it's a really tough deal because MMCDC, we are having some issues with them. At the same time, I don't want any new employees, but I don't want to spend money for something. So it's a really kind of we have to make a decision, and
you have to remember too, that it's not just the management, it's the maintenance, and that's where you struggle more than
Well, but
just management.
the
that's-
maintenance we pay above and beyond our contract.
I know, but finding someone, because MMCDC
yeah.
has their own staff to do that. and-
they do.
And
so-
we do not. So that's where I'm saying you'll have to find contractors, and that's the difficult part to.
Well, they do also. We mainly,
But they have.
when there's
they have-
significant things, we have.
They have
contractors.
they have much more places to keep, so they have a better, it's just harder when you have for maintenance, it's going to be a difficult.
It is, and here's the problem, and it's also a very complicated thing. This housing thing is so complicated. Yeah. So I don't know which way we're gonna go. We're gonna have to talk about it again, of course, but,
Yep.
Yeah. I
All right, thank you.
Yeah. That's all I have.
Richard and I the only meeting I had was land or natural resources, and a couple of things Phil's already talked about. Looking at the old shelter and looking at how to improve that with some donated help. Trying to work through that.
we might get a grant for that too, Barry.
Yeah, we're looking at some grant money possibly for that. Obviously, the trail routing study, looked at that again, and I think that was I think Nate put something in the paper on that. Yeah, go down to Nick, or you covered a couple, most of those things. Some road brushing maintenance on Tullaby Road. White Earth, this is the first meeting that White Earth didn't have any representatives at the meeting. We also looked at some online tax forfeit auctions in the future, and Mary is all for doing that. She's so into the computers that she's figuring that will go well for her. There's a tax forfeited piece of property down on Blue Water Bay, right across from Tanglewood on Big Cormorant Lake. I thought it might be, and there's some docks that are on that, and that was the discussion, but it might be an opportunity for us to do a walk-in access for, kayak canoe area, but was going to touch base with the Big Cormorant Lake Association and Blue Water Bay Association before we move forward on that, but we got to get 100% agreement on it, so.
Very, very.
I think it might be an opportunity, get Blue Water Bay, for non-motorized access would be nice for people to get in there, so. But we'll see. Anything else to add, Richard,
No, other than we've been talking about primitive camping and we're talking about the RAC committee probably
yeah,
figuring that out, but we do want to not just talk about it. We would actually like to, see some low-cost primitive camping, so.
and the other discussion was maybe some budget items. We were looking at having to budget for the STS crew leader, that money that the state's not paying for the STS anymore, and we want to have maintenance, so it might be in the NRM budget to increase that budget to pay for that increase, or else maybe we could look at, I think the RAC committee was also looking at getting some funding in there to as we move forward, but see where, I said we can always put the request in, and we'll have to look at what we have, so. Okay, thank you, Chair.
Go ahead, yeah, go ahead.
That Human Services, Erica covered all that, and NRM with Barry, he's got that, but I did have my safety committee again. And so
Good job, Richard.
we're working on a draft, we're following we got Clay County's draft, and we're going through and putting our stuff, taking out what we don't want and putting in what we do want. We're having a walkthrough through all of our facilities from Safe Assure, so that if OSHA does come, we'll be ready for them, so we don't get any fines there. And then we were talking about active shooters in the building and what to do there, hide, run. If you can't hide or run, stand and fight, grab something.
Clipboard.
I think
That
a
was
chair
what we
or
were taught
something,
once.
but
That's why I said
something you can throw at them maybe, I'm not sure. So that's where we're at there. And then we talked about weather alerts and making sure everybody knows where to go if there is bad weather. So, so that's what we're working on there. It's more, I've been on the safety committee since I got here, and we haven't done anything. So we are actually.
I'm sure our insurance, MCIT, would love to hear you say that in a public meeting.
Well, we're doing
I
some.
shouldn't
Doing
say
stuff
that.
now, yeah.
We're doing
We haven't
stuff
done
now.
any updates, and now we're doing a lot of updates.
Yes.
So
There you go.
that's.
I seen the email that went out from Tierra, I think it was this morning,
Yep.
about the air quality.
Yep.
I think that's a great idea. When we were here on Friday, you could smell the smoke sitting in this room. It was so bad, so.
It was bad, Fred.
Yeah, that's all I got.
So I had one. You guys are glad I only had one, I'm sure. So I had the Northwest Region Emergency Services Board meeting, and there was several things we discussed, but one of the biggest things that really pertains to us in Becker County is that when there are MnDOT towers that when you always hear those emergency service, the first responders or the fire department people where their pagers go off. So those are set through towers that are in Becker County. There are towers that are in neighboring counties that are on the borders, and they want to add those to that paging group so that because some of those emergency responders will go across borders, some will come into our county, some will go to their county, some of our fire will go out of our county because we help each other. So they want to use those pages. So there's 5 bordering towers. One's in Mantrap in Hubbard County, and Nevis in Hubbard County, Sabika and Wadena County. Luce, didn't know there was one there. That's in Otter Tail. And then Flum has one in Norman County. So they're gonna add those to our paging groups. They're gonna get the pages too. So
Mr. Chair, I had
Yeah.
one more thing. One of the constituents asked that I mention that there's a significant power line or transmission line going through Becker County, or possibly going through Becker County, and the impact that that would have on the landowners. I think maybe, it looks like they want to parallel the current line, and that goes south of Lake Park, and they want to parallel that, so there would be 2 sets of lines. It's just a concern that they brought up that, is this something that's wanted in Becker County? And, obviously, power transmission lines are needed, and
Is that regarding the easement that we're talking about today?
no.
Oh.
no.
No. So I just thought I'd mention it. There's some people concerned about it going to their land, and
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Nelson, I went to that open house for that, and they're going from basically Brainerd to north of Fargo, and they are looking for a routing study. None of that has been determined yet. It might not come through Becker County at all, but yes, they are going to do it. They will go along other power lines if they can. If they can't, then they do have to find a new route. But there's a lot of information online. I talked about it last meeting.
yeah, this was after that. And I think we touched base, but I saw some of the maps then, and they throw a huge map out there saying, we're looking at this whole area.
They're looking at a corridor.
Huge. It's huge.
Yeah, it is. Yep.
And I kind of suspect that they kind of know where they want to go already, and they throw out a big map saying, it's not decided, but, it may or may not be decided kind of where they want to go. So I think if you're a concerned landowner, you should be involved in it at this time rather than wait till it's decided. That's the point, I think, to be made. So that's it.
All right. Anybody else have any reports? All right. Does anybody have any appointments? Okay, so let's move on to our county administrator. Should we move down to number 3? Because Becky's here.
Sure.
Let's go right to number 3 then. So Becky Mitchell from the museum and Bethany. I knew it. I didn't want to say the wrong name. So she gave us a handout.
Yeah, I presented at Finance, I think, a couple of months ago, and Commissioners Meyer and Jepson asked that we come to the full board, but wanted to bring our staff. However, we are in a very busy camp week, so only Bethany and I could squeak away for a little bit. It is budget time. It's budget time for everyone. We're all struggling with budgets, but it's been a few years, really, since I've kind of asked for a significant increase, if you will, and I know this is a hard time, but I wanted to provide you the first page, kind of shows, I did this for my board several months ago. This just shows like the plan for the museum for the year. So this is looking at 2025 and a little bit into 2026, as you can see on the bottom. If anything's in red, that's something we're partnering on. So we are constantly partnering with other entities, trying to work together to serve our community in new ways. Different partners bring different audiences as well. And we're just busy. With that, we have, a combined staff of 5 FTEs, and those staff do everything from, I'm teaching, for instance, this morning at art camp, or I will be when I get back. So we do everything from teach to clean to programming to any special event. We're dressing up at the haunted house and scaring people. I mean, we do it all. And it's just getting to be very taxing in that facility because we're so busy. The second sheet happened a little bit by accident. The county comparison at least did. I was in a conversation with the Stearns County director, and it was end of year kind of time when you're gathering numbers. And that's where it came up, just like, wow, Stearns County supports at a ridiculously high level, which is amazing. They also have Stearns County residents for free, which we've had that conversation here at this board. And that led me to call Otter Tail and Clay County as well. And you can see that I'm always thankful for the support we get from the county. I've always said we're kind of in the middle. There's museums that get much less, there's museums that get a lot more, and we're kind of in the middle. But just with the amount of people we're serving per year and the busyness of that building at times, we need some help. We really need another staff person to help do all those duties and help clean and get to some of the tasks that we've talked about doing forever, scanning records, getting things organized, getting things accessible. It's hard to get to those things. It's hard for me to do the job that a director should be doing when you're jumping in and doing other jobs. Although I love it, it's just hard. And so we do utilize volunteers. We have over 100 volunteers every year. One of the questions that came up at finance is what percentage of our memberships are from outside our county? So Bethany looked up those numbers. It's about 15%, you can see. Our admissions have shifted. 2023, when we opened, we had memberships kind of down here, and our paid admissions were up here. And last year when I came, we were about even. So that means every day, if there was about 15 people that came through the door and paid, there's about 15 people that came through the door and they're members. This year we flip-flopped, and that's great news that we're engaging more of our county, but that's less daily paid admissions, which then affects that bottom line because members are free. Every week we do get asked. I think if there was a significant increase, I'm a strong proponent of having Becker County residents free. We get asked that weekly, sometimes daily, if Becker County residents are free. Some historical societies do that. And I just think also it's just, Jeff Siegler, Phil, you're talking about we're a recreation county. We're considered in a recreation industry. And we have to, if we look back a few weeks ago or a month or so ago with Jeff Siegler, we're not wanting to continue to get bigger necessarily. We're just wanting to do what we do better. And we need help to do that.
Mr. Chair, Becky, you say you got 100 volunteers. What do your volunteers typically do?
So volunteers can do anything from help in the Science Center, kind of watching.
But they don't lead? They're not leading the group? They're just kind of helping?
They can lead tour groups, like when school groups come in. Sometimes we have them as docents. The haunted house brings quite a few volunteers. 20, 30 volunteers help with the haunted house, and they're in the scare team or on the behind the scenes side.
How many hours do your 100 volunteers put in, like, per year, like, guesstimate?
It varies. I'd say each of those volunteers work shifts and sometimes multiple. Of course, some of them are there often. They're working shifts of 2 to 3 hours. There's probably 500 plus hours of volunteer time a year, I'd say. If not more, that might be, that would be a little bit hard to gather off the cuff, but we could certainly gather it moving forward.
No, that's fine. Let's
So Becky, what are you thinking you would?
Well, as I said in finance,
like.
we're not here asking for $500,000 or $700,000. That's a lot of pressure. We're not wanting.
It's no pressure at all.
That might be an easy answer.
Actually, Erica said, well, that's an easy answer. So I don't know. If we wanted to do really easy math, I know somebody way before me, had thrown out if you paid a fee, like a rate for every county resident, for instance. So if you took $10, which is an adult daily admission, for every county resident, that's about $300,000. I don't know if that's too much or, for us, that would be very comfortable. That would allow us money to put aside for repairs when they start coming up, because they're already coming up in that building. It's 2 years older. It would allow us that cushion. It would allow some flexibility, but most importantly, it would allow another person to accomplish some of those tasks, to scan and do the tasks that we just can't get to. It would also allow for a break in some of the programming. Not that we would lessen the programming, but it would give us a break from trying to always find the next big program, if you will, to bring in dollars.
I think for me, it's hard to make the decision today. So when do you need to know? Only because I want to know where we are with the rest of our budget before we
Yeah.
make a decision on kind of what our levy is going to be without that.
Of course. And that's why we wanted to come, earlier. And even, if we did look at like a Becker, that amount also, then there's some income that will be lost, of course, from residents that are coming in. So that also absorbs that amount too. But yeah, I didn't figure we would probably hear an answer today.
Mr. Chair, is your major source of income then admission fees? Is that your,
Memberships and admission fees are our two top. This time of the year, summer camps carry us through. We're serving about almost 50 kids in summer camps this week. So there's a lot there. And that is, one of those camps is Pioneer Camp, which you can see in red. So those red camps are if a school district has worked with us. So like right now, we have LPA Summer Day Camp utilizing some of our summer camp slots.
Does anybody else have any questions for Becky and Bethany? We definitely have something to think about.
I want to hear from Bethany.
Yeah.
Bethany was so excited to be here today. Bethany does a great job.
Yeah,
Bethany
she
works
does.
very, very hard. All of our staff do, they really do.
Bethany, what's your favorite part of the museum?
My favorite part, probably meeting all the people and having to do something different every day that I didn't think I'd have to do. Just learning something new every day and pushing myself to do something better.
What do you see the benefit for children?
It's really cool to sit up in the science center and see how their brains work and how they come up with different things. So we have like the marble runs on the wall, so you can move all those parts and put the marble in and see how it goes. And they have so much fun with that, and they come up with so many different ways to do it, and they'll spend hours at that one thing just trying to make it work and make it all the way through. So it's really cool to see it that way. It's fun to take them through the exhibit hall and teach them history and things that they didn't know and tell them the fun stories, and they get all excited, like about three legs, of course, and those things.
Thank you.
And then, do you want to talk about the spaceship that was out in front of our courthouse? Yeah.
Yeah, we are, if nothing else, resourceful. So when we had the haunted house here, we secured a couple of old satellite dishes because it was the outer space or the alien theme. And we just stuck them together and made a spaceship. And so when that was all over, we kind of, like, are we ready to just get rid of that or what should we? So we actually ended up, with the help of Herzog Roofing, we separated the two and put a band in. And so inside it's now a UFO in the Science Center. And so kids can go in there and there's all sorts of interactive panels they can touch and do whatever. And the Science Center really is a mix, as a lot of, I'd say, smaller children's museums are in our state and in other states, a mix of those exhibits that you buy, like the marble run that Bethany's talking about, and ones that we kind of DIY. And so, but they really love that. And it is truly a science center that is, some adults would say, how is this a science center? Well, it's a science center because their brains are working. That's engineering and, technology and what have you. And so it's STEM. And that's really what they're learning over and over and over up there. And that is by far the busiest floor in the museum. It's like this today, it'll be busy today because people are looking for something to do. The air is smoky. They're coming in, they're looking for something to do to get out of the air. And so I love that we have been able to build a facility that serves everybody. And if somebody walks in the door and it's pretty obvious if somebody's struggling, right? And it's just like, yep, just go on up. Or, you can pay $1, okay, go on up. We don't turn people away. That's not what we're there for. So you have to manage that sometimes because there's those that will always look for the free. But if it's clear that they are there and they need some assistance, we give it. Or if a group calls and says, we've got this group of individuals, but funds are limited, okay, well, we'll do the school rate, which is $5 a student to get in, and teachers and chaperones are free. So we're constantly trying to serve as many people as we can.
Well, thank you. I think
Yeah.
it's impressive just to look at the number of visitors.
Yeah.
19,780 in 2024 is pretty impressive.
Especially when I had somebody from a DL resident remind me that he came in 2016 when we were working on our campaign, and he wanted to support, but he couldn't really find why. He just felt he should support because he's a lifelong resident. But he wanted to justify it in his own mind, and he asked me, how many visitors do you get? And I said, about 900. And he said, 900 a month? And I said, no, a year. So from 2016 to now, we went from 900
A year,
A
a
year.
year to this number.
so more than that a month.
Yep.
So that's pretty impressive.
Does anybody else have any more questions? Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Beth.
Thank you.
Let's go, I saw Cecilia walk in. and
Yep,
where she-
Cecilia's here.
Yeah, let's go right to this. Thank you, guys.
Running a bit late today?
Have many places to be. Good morning. Thank you for
Morning.
having us. In front of you, Mary said she just handed out another copy of our extension budget. We have kept everything standard with the increase in COLAs for the county support staff. The budget you're looking at has 2 FTE, and that's 1 educator position and 1 office support position, and then 2 temp position, 1 for the intern, and then 1 for the summer assistant that comes in and support Linda. So with that, the MOA position is the professional and technical services line. That includes the intern position as well for the year. And then the top of the lines has the permanent position and the part-time position. And then just general operating budget. This line is also included to support the staff in the office.
So the professional and technical services is the full-time and intern?
Yes, that's for the Elliott and summer intern position.
And then the permanent position is for our office support?
Yeah, that's for Linda's position, and then on the bottom, there's the summer assistant position that supports Linda.
Were you at the Clay County Fair this weekend?
No, I was not.
I was down there and I was wondering how the numbers seem to be pretty good there.
Mhm.
That big demo derby that Saturday night. I got my corn dog and it's my goal to get to the
fries.
fair and have a corn dog.
Or not.
Mr. Chair, is this, or Barry, maybe you can answer this, is this all allocated dollars from the county, or is this subsidized by the state or extension? Isn't
This
that
is
through
the
the U of
county-
M or
This is
whatever?
the county request.
This is,
So back
This is
in,
just the county request right here, what we're
Yeah.
looking at. This isn't the total.
this is, yeah,
This is not the total budget for,
extension, yes.
This will be the total staff and operating budget for the
The
extension.
state doesn't pay anything for 4-H. So we pay it to hire that person completely. They used to back in what, 2008, 6 or 8, they switched
I
that?
would say 8 is when there was a,
So it used to be partially funded by the state, partially it was a partnership, and the state elected not to pay anymore, so.
wasn't there some college, U of M extension? I mean, these are extensions of the colleges, right?
No, not of the colleges. It's from the university. I'm not sure what your question is.
Well, I mean, the ultimate question is where does the financing come from? And
It's- this
you
is all
said this
county.
is just
this is all,
our,
yeah, this is
It's
all.
all- Cecilia is the regional manager, so her salary is paid by the state. So we contract with the state, with the University of Minnesota, to hire the 4-H coordinator and the intern. And that's the professional and technical services for 112,270.
yeah,
and
the
we-
county has,
And we don't pay they pay for the benefits of that employee. So Elliot is a state employee, and he's the 4-H coordinator in Becker.
Becker County.
And we supply the office space and.
And the support.
it's a memorandum of agreement between the county and the university.
Yep.
It's a 3-year agreement, so essentially every year we come just to formalize the process of approving the budget, but the contract pretty much is in place for 3 years, so next year, the numbers that you're looking at, besides the county and operating budget, that technical line will just have another 3% increase, which is communicated in the contract.
If you recall, last year, I think was a big jump in the.
Yes.
the
There was a big
request.
jump in the
Yeah.
wages.
And I think we were kind of aware of that because we were not being able to hire a 4-H coordinator. What the university was offering them was less than what they could make at jobs that were much less demanding of evenings and you could get so the university did finally raise the wages, but unfortunately that transfers right to, we pay more. If you remember, we tried to compensate that employee and we couldn't do that.
We had a hard time
Yeah.
getting anybody to do it.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
what do you see coming to our fairs coming up? How's the university going to be supporting that?
Per agreement and discussion previous years of how LEA support will be at the livestock is what we'll continue to do. Obviously, as things come up and the needs arise, we'll have discussion, but the goal is to continue supporting the livestock as LEA has been.
Right, but
They're also doing a day camp.
besides Elliott, is the university are you going to be at site? Are you offering any, is there any other support that the
Yeah.
university gives?
I've typically done the celebrity host part of the fair where we're serving communities the breakfast and the meals. This year, I'm not able to do that. I haven't been able to commit to that for Becker County. Because I have 8 counties, typically what I do is I try to travel around to some of the counties, and I don't get to all of them every year. So this year, Clay County and Ottawa and other counties were on my list to visit.
You just said you didn't go to Clay County.
I was at Clay County on Thursday.
You did go, you were at
Yeah,
Clay County?
yeah.
Yes, how were the numbers due?
It was pretty good. It was obviously got hot as the days went on, but general is the room was
numbers were up
filled.
for people, you think?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Good. We can look forward to more. hopefully.
I think our numbers will be up this year too, especially if it doesn't rain or it's not below, like, almost freezing, like it was last year.
Yeah,
Yeah, last year was cold.
it's better than 100 degrees, so.
Yeah.
All right, any other questions or?
Does anybody else got any questions? So we need a motion to approve the budget 2020, don't we?
We need it now?
Do we need to know?
It'll be approved at our,
It'll be approved in our budget, yeah, you're right.
suggest you put in the final numbers.
Approve it now, like here? Or in the final budget?
Later,
Yeah.
in the final budget.
Final budget.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, sounds good.
Well, I appreciate your
Thank you,
time and your
Cecilia.
continued partnership.
thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's move on to Carrie's report. Do you want to do Denise first?
I was just
Yeah, Denise, let's go Denise. We'll do number 5 on the water, the pure water technology.
I'm sorry, Denise, for pulling this up.
No, that's all right.
Kind of it's kind of why I don't like the consent agenda getting so large. I do question a lot of things, and I'd like
No, I understand.
to get those answers. but,
Absolutely.
Did you run it by, our custodial staff or maintenance to see if they're?
No,
And that's the only question. Should that be looked at and seeing or not?
How much was that drinking fountain out here?
3.
2,300.
And so we would need
the
2
maintenance.
more over there, so that there would be 1 on each floor?
I would assume, yeah.
Well,
And the
I-
time to put it in.
And the time to put
Mr.
it
Chair,
in?
if I could just add, it's not as much the water. I think the water fountains in the building could serve us, the 2 that we have. It's the ice and the hot water, the combination of hot, cold, and the ice. And I think the ice being the large. And I just made a call before I came just to check because I couldn't believe that there weren't other systems out there in the county. The highway department has a separate ice maker, and they also have 2 large fridges with ice makers. So we wouldn't be the only one who's paying for ice.
That's our own though.
Yeah, but she's
Yeah.
right. I was gonna say this, and I thought I shouldn't, but I'm gonna tell you, the highway department has a beautiful place over there. Phil, you know what it looks like. It is. And I don't have a problem with them having it. And here's my problem. Everywhere in our country is a bean counter somewhere, counting a bean and taking away little things. And sure, if you take away every little thing, but I'm not sure that we should be giving anything new to anybody, but I'm not here to take away things from our employees. Every big company gives their employees different perks. This is not a huge perk. And like I said, we have hardworking employees all over our county. That's just the way that is. But those are good, hardworking people, and I don't think we should be taking that little bit of comfort, hot water and ice away from them. Go to our highway department and look at their kitchen and look at, which is fine. I think that we can treat our employees to some small things, and that's, to me, this is not a huge thing.
Well, no,
And-
Mr. Chair, I mean, you stray from the question. The question is this something that's served by the lease, or is it something served by internal, that we could do it internally or not? That's the question. I don't think these items are, I mean, that's the question. And if you don't ask maintenance, if this is reasonable, can we do this for a more reasonable cost or not?
Well, I don't have a problem with that.
Well, that's what I'm just saying. I'm not saying we shouldn't provide water and if an ice maker or a fridge is, but that was my question. Very simple question. If this is the most economical way, then that's fine moving forward. I don't think it's wrong to question, call me a bean counter all you want, but if I'm looking at the costs and expenses of products and things in the county, I'll take it. I'm a bean counter. I want to know it's the best value for the dollar. So be it.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know. You have two options. Either
Well,
check to see if there
We
is
can
better,
check
or
on it.
move forward and do
Your
it.
other one's still working fine, right? Or do we have we have time to wait till our next board
absolutely.
meeting?
Absolutely.
okay.
If it's
Well-
something
We
that
can-
your committee and Erica knows probably better than anyone, if you feel strongly about it, just move forward.
Yes, I will make a motion to approve the water contract.
Thank you, Erica.
I'll second that.
So we have a motion to approve the Pure Water Technology the rental agreement. And we have a motion, a second motion by Erica, second by Richard. Any more discussion?
I just want to note, I was a human services employee for 10 years, and for the first 7 years I worked there, we paid for it. Every employee pitched in however much money they could afford to pay for this water. And I remember the day that it was brought to us that we would no longer have to do that because the county is going to pay for it. And that means a lot to the employees. It's a very small money. I mean, it's not a lot of money in the big scheme of things. And as we mentioned, this likely didn't even have to come to the board. So
Well,
thank you for bringing it to the board,
It probably
Denise.
does because
but-
it's a contract.
Because it is an
Contract.
agreement, and
Oh,
that
sure.
is why I brought it, yes.
But
So at any rate,
But if it's $6,000 plus labor to put in 2 new drinking fountains,
that,
Yeah.
yes,
That,
and there's no hot water in them.
and there's no ice, or ice, yeah.
And like I said, go to our highway department. If you want to count beans, go out there and start looking and see if you can do something with that.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Do we have any more discussion? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I
Opposed?
I,
Aye.
No.
All right, motion carries.
and I just want to note, I'm voting no because I think you should compare. I think there should be a comparison what the two would cost and what the pros and cons are on even these little contracts. That's
Well,
all I'm saying.
I know what an ice maker costs. I know, I already know about a lot of this stuff. If we're gonna replace this thing and still give them ice, then they've got to have a big refrigerator with an ice maker in it.
I mean, the fridge is over there from the 80s, so,
So you
And the
can.
employees purchased
you
all
could,
of them.
and the employees
you know,
purchased them.
you can go through all of it, and maybe we should, but it's gotten this far now, and I don't know if we're gonna put new ice makers in there, or this one here, it's not that expensive, and so we can always change it. How long is that contract for?
5 years.
Six, yep,
5 years.
6
All right,
months.
let's move on to Carrie's
Thank you,
report.
Thank you.
Thank you, Denise,
I'd
for
like to
coming
move
in.
our meeting on next Thursday a little bit earlier for Lake
For
Limina Health,
Lakeland? I can check.
if we can.
I can check.
I got it. I'm supposed to serve pie and ice cream.
Okay, I can check and I'll get.
Oh, man.
I'm sorry. was that
Yeah,
me?
yeah, you go ahead. Yep,
Thank
you're
you.
next.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The first thing I wanted to start with was to acknowledge that we did have a terrible event here in our county. We did have an officer-involved shooting, and which is terrible and terrible for our county, but we are working through that and dealing with that. But I wanted to also take the opportunity to let law enforcement and emergency response know that they are appreciated. And Peggy put together a little, I saw this on social media, so I wanted to share. I like to do some of these kudos because not everybody gets the appreciation that they should get and deserve. So she's going to put it.
Late one.
It was on a piece of paper. You know, put it on a little stencil.
Technical difficulties.
It's up there, but I can't get it to share. Hold on.
What you're sharing.
I know, but I can't have the thing.
Can you click on the actual slide? There you go. So these are just some comments from public, and I had shared this with the sheriff, many comments from public, just the random public. It was on the DL, I think it was on DL Buzz or something like that. So yeah, just shout outs to our sheriff's department, and there were several comments and very positive. So I just thought it was worth sharing with the board. The last one?
That was it.
All right.
Yep.
I just want to say I met our sheriff's department chasing that guy.
Yesterday?
When it was, no, it was.
Oh,
It was, was it Wednesday?
Wednesday.
Yeah, down Highway 10 there. And if that guy would have came into my house and that went on, I'm sure glad, well, he might not have gotten on. It might not have went as good for him, but that's, everybody's like that. But what happened there and you guys catching him that quick, and if you seen all the cars coming after that guy, I wouldn't want to be him. So thank you, Sheriff. That was impressive.
I just want to say kudos to also yesterday. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if anybody knows about what happened yesterday in Frazee, but there was another standout for several hours, which thanks to the patience and ability for our officers to hold him accountable. I mean, he was finally apprehended after 8 hours, 7 hours of sitting in the river. 10 hours. So, I mean, that is a true example of how dedicated and great our officers are, that they're able to do that. And we have a offender safely in jail. So,
And they were all,
thank you.
I don't know where they began, Sheriff, but they were all right behind, there was really good response, I thought, to everybody be there at that time that fast.
Yep.
First of all, I just want to thank Gary and Peggy, obviously the community for their support. I can't talk about the incident. I can say that the woman, the deputy, city officer, has been much more tragic.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Mr. Chair, and I want to thank, Sheriff Glander too, because hopefully these deputies and the officers involved will take advantage of our mental health, support, and because we all thank them and think that this is so easy. It's not an easy job. That is not an easy decision, and thank you for being strong and doing everything and keep healthy and keep your mental health well, and know that you have the support of the community. So, and thanks for putting those programs out there for your
Yeah.
staff. So.
Yes, thank you.
Great, thank you. The next thing that this was talked about just briefly earlier, I did sit in on some migration trends for Becker County, and Peggy's going to pull up a couple slides here. This is from the Center for Rural Policy and Development. And I'm just going to share a couple slides, but these just kind of show throughout Minnesota, if you look for Becker County and just the trends. And really what this says is that in Becker County, expected increase in population in the recreational rural area is set or is on a growth pattern to be very high, the 25 to the 50% or even higher over time. So basically, birth rates are going down, death rates are going up, but our trends are more so due to migration. People are coming here and want to live here. Do the next slide. Nope. So, and this is just how it ended, so. On the budget, an update on the budget work sessions. One of the things that I've talked about is a work session for all of you looking at our finance meeting, the first, I was going to say October, good grief, August. In August, we had talked about doing a work session for the full board. So we'll be going through some of the preliminary budgets. Would expect that the smaller departments will be presenting at finance on that day. So I can certainly send out a meeting invite for all of you, or unless you have a different idea, but that's what we had talked about off and on.
That'll work.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. I've been attending as many online sessions as I can to try to learn more about, the state and federal budget cuts. There is, and I can certainly share this with the entire board. I did receive, it was a really good outline, and Denise had it as well. It came from the National Association of County Human Service Administrators, and it really outlines dates and when expectations are going forward as far as specific cuts in different programs and those types of things. And yep. So if you scroll down, it just really outlines, again, it's probably one of the better tools that I was able to find that was out there. But I can certainly push this out to the board if that would be helpful.
Yeah, I think it would be.
Okay, I will certainly do that. Yes, sir. Do you want the PowerPoint? Okay. The Sheriff's Department is scheduled to move into their new lease space for storage of their equipment, and that's happening, I believe it's this week, 17th. That's right around the corner. So we are all set to go on that. So that'll hopefully give them enough time before they have to start with WeFest and all of their other activities. I just wanted to note, moving on to veteran services, there's really been an uptick. I know Tony over there has been very, very busy with walk-ins, and he has been dealing with a lot of crisis situations over there with veterans that are lacking in housing and a lot of mental health issues. So it's been a pretty big uptick in kind of that category. And so I just wanted to mention that our second employee is scheduled to start on the 21st. So hopefully that will assist him, but he's been, working full-time over there. He's finally got his credentials so that he can do service requests, and it's quite the long process to get certified and do all of those things. So
Is the person that starts on the 21st certified, or will they?
they aren't,
Okay.
unless they are coming from another county. There's, you know, with all the health records and things that they deal with claims, it's quite a lengthy process. And we're really at the mercy of when the state, you know, provides the training and the certifications and all of those things, so. There's a meeting coming up with MNCCC with regards to our UKG, our payroll system, as well as our human resource system. And really the focus is going to be, we haven't been able to report as required for paid family medical leave. So we're hoping that we're going to see some resolutions or some ideas of what that fix is hoping, and it's our county and several others that are in that co-op. So we're hoping to hear something positive on that. And then the last thing, I think all of you have given Peggy, whether or not your RSVP, whether or not you're going to be going to Fall Policy Conference. Registration is open, and she will certainly reserve your rooms if that's in Alexandria, Arrowwood.
But not for Wednesday. I'll go Thursday morning, so just Thursday night.
Okay, yeah, if you just want to shoot, or, yeah, let her know, or so she can
Just,
get.
and I would suggest, Peggy, if you can't get at Arrowwood, then notify the commissioner, because I won't go if I can't get at Arrowwood, if I can't be
Ditto.
at site. I mean, I'm not driving around.
No. Correct.
So we probably should get rooms reserved sooner than later.
Yeah.
Okay,
But I just went Wednesday night.
all right, that's all I have, thank you.
Okay. All right, let's move on to EDA. Let's go to, Cody was, there he's hiding behind a pillar.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning,
Morning,
Cody.
Cody.
Peggy has a sheet to pull up. So just a quick update for the Child Care Economic Development Grant, round one. We call it round one in the event that we had some remaining funds after reviewing applications, which we do. But this is just a quick summary of, we had 6 applications. These were the ones that were deemed eligible and approved. And what it does is just outlines the funding request and essentially the net impact of childcare slots that are that the funds will assist. So utilization of total approved amounts is around 31,000. We have a total grant award amount to use for this portion of it for 50,000. So that's the balance down there in the little pie chart that you see. And then it'll impact roughly about 38 childcare slots. So just wanted to give that update and then see if there's any questions. But the intent would be that after these are awarded out, then we would use the remaining balance of the funds to continue until the end of our grant round. So
The only question, Mr. Chair, that I had was on the last one, it's a $10,000 grant and it's only 2 net slots. It's a little, that's a little spendy for what we're getting. Is that vetted pretty well?
There's different categories for the expenditures or eligible expenses, I should say. One of them is for subsidies to retain employees. So this would be assisting with 2 staff positions and over the period of a certain time frame. So that's why that one looks maybe a little bit skewed, but yeah, it falls under the categories of the grant eligible expenses. So.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Cody. Does anybody else have any questions for Cody? Yeah, thanks, Cody.
Thanks, Cody.
Do you need a motion to accept or approve?
Oh, we
accept or
do, we do? Okay. Accept round one?
Yes.
All right.
I'll make a motion to accept round 1 of the building block grants.
So-
Second.
So we have a motion by Erica and a second by Richard. Any more discussion?
I'm just wondering, is it do we need approval? Accept and approval?
I think you need both.
Accept and approval.
Okay, so is that okay?
Amend my motion to
Is that
say
okay?
accept and
Accept and
approval.
approve? Okay. So we have a motion and amendment. So any other discussion? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. All right, let's go on to human resources.
The very interesting one, why everyone's here to hear
Yeah,
Kira talk.
yeah, they're all here to see you.
This is the most interesting one of the day.
I sense a hint of sarcasm there.
No, come on.
The first item that I have in front of you is another HCSP account. There is another group that would like to be formed, and that is for the Auditor Treasurer's Office. So that will be any non-union, non-elected members of the Auditor Treasurer's Office, including the Finance Manager, Deputy Treasurer, Deputy Auditor Treasurer, Licensing Supervisor, and then the accountants.
And just for those public, this is a employee-only contribution.
Yep.
Correct, yes.
So it's a benefit that doesn't cost the county anything, but they can contribute to, so. Motion to approve 2A.
So we have a motion by Barry to approve 2A. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Erica. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Okay, none down to 2B.
The second resolution I have is for agreeing to set up a working advantage account for our employees. So this is completely cost-free. It provides discounted admissions to both travel, to sporting events, concerts, different things of that sort. This did go through our benefit committee, and it was agreed upon that there's no hurt in doing it. It's just going to provide another benefit for our employees at no cost.
I'll make a motion to approve 2B.
So Erica, motion by Erica, we have a second for 2B.
I'll second.
Second by Phil. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Okay. The third item that I have is for regarding PFML, so paid family medical leave, that is going to into effect January 1st of 2026. This is by state statute. We are going to be required to do it. There is an option to go with a private party plan instead of going with the state plan, and this is what that is entailing. So as you can see, the state plan would be at a 0.88% rate. That would be split 50-50 between employee and employer. The private plan is a 0.79%, so it is significantly less, and still split between employer and employee. But this also would guarantee us a rate lock because we have at least 2 lines of coverage with MetLife. This would guarantee us that 0.79% for 2 years. There is anticipation that the state will very likely increase their rate after they kind of figure out what they're doing. One thing to note, there is a $500 registration fee with going with a private plan that's required by the state. So in total, the savings, both employee and employer savings, is right around $22,000 at that 0.79 versus 0.88 rate. So more than enough to absorb that $500 filing fee.
That's just, is it a one-time or is it annual? Or
It is a one-time fee unless the state amends any of their requirements. So if the state amends whatever they want to, then we would have to pay the filing fee again to ensure that the private plan does coincide with what the state is requiring.
So I have a question. So let's say the state decides to amend it and have a huge filing fee. Could we get, and it doesn't make it feasible, could we get out of this contract?
There is no contract with this, so we could.
Okay.
It would just, I don't know all of the answers of what the state is going to require, but yeah, there is no contract with MetLife on this.
It's just a rate guarantee for
Correct.
2 years.
Yeah.
Correct,
Okay.
yep.
So do we have a motion to approve 2C?
I'll make a motion to approve 2C.
So we have a motion. Second by Barry. Do any more discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Tira, so this paid family leave, 0.79, okay, so what does that mean? Like, what are we going to have to absorb as a county? We got to do half of that, right?
Correct.
So what is that dollar number that the county is going to have to come up with?
So based off of, we're going off of 2024 total
Okay.
wages paid. The total amount is just over $2 million. So the county would have to come up with just over $1 million of that.
So you're saying in addition to everything else we do, the pay increases that we've already committed to for our employees, for this program alone, we're going to have to come up with another $1 million levied dollars to pay for this.
Yeah, it's just like a tax. The state is imposing it on us, and we don't have a choice but to do it.
There's your state of Minnesota for you.
Yep.
Yep.
I can't levy at my business.
Any other questions?
So we have a motion and a second. All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
I do have a question though, ongoing, as this gets funded. I mean, will it depend on, is it to individuals? I mean, how does this track down the road? I mean, is that 0.79?
So I can't guarantee what the state is going to end up doing. Currently in legislation, they do have it written that there will never be over that 1.1, I believe it
1.1,
was. Yep. But they can change that at any point in time.
But can this, as we fund that, can it be reduced?
I highly doubt that, but I mean, there's always a possibility.
It could, but they're going to find out that they're not going to have enough money to do it. They're going to have to raise it. That's just my
Are
opinion.
you thinking if it doesn't get used?
Yeah.
So they do have it in writing that they can't dip below 25% of the overall cost of the program. So I guess potentially if there was like no usage whatsoever, then potentially it could lower the rate one year to another, but I very much so doubt that.
Well, it's funny when you talk to the legislators that supported this wasn't going to cost anything.
No.
You know.
Oh, no, it's not going to cost you anything.
It's not
It's
only
gonna
costing
cost us
us
all of our
something, it's also
business
costing the
in Minnesota.
employees.
So, Mr. Chair, Tira, one additional question. So paid family medical leave, that means people can take time off work. So, correct?
Correct. So
So not only are we is this to cover the time off that they have? So not only are we losing employee worker hours to this program, we've got to pay for it.
correct.
So it's a double, because we're going to have to get the same amount of work done in the county with less employees because
Or
they
if it's
can
a
use
long
this.
term, then we have to hire someone to fill that.
Correct. So we'll take a childbirth, for example. If you're the birthing parent of a child,
Either one.
not only can you take the 12 weeks for bonding, you can also take up to an additional 8 weeks for the medical recovery of that childbirth.
And
So
the father or
the father or the non-birthing parent, will say, because it could be both adoptions or birth of a child. The non-birthing parent is qualified for the 12 weeks of bonding time at a paid rate.
What-
It's not 100% of their pay. There is a tiered system that's based off of the income that employees make. And the less you make, the more percentage of a replacement that you receive. And that's up to, it drops below 70% after $102,000. Then it's less than 70% that people are being replaced.
Okay, so we got to pay them for, like, in your example, the bonding time. And then we also, in the middle of winter, we got a snow plow. I mean, we have to plow, we have to find someone else to plow the road and pay them too.
That's definitely anticipated.
You know, you just clarified. I thought I knew it. I just want to make sure that I know what's going on here. So, okay, thank you.
Or if you're one of our businesses in town here, you know.
Same, yeah.
They can't absorb it like we can. We can pass it on to the taxpayer, but, you know, there's a little book on how to drive everybody out of Minnesota, and they have it down there in the cities.
how about this one? If you're a substitute teacher.
Yep.
And you want to substitute, and you've done a lot of it, and they call you to substitute, but you want the day off, you can, or if you're sick, they have to pay you sick leave, then go hire someone else. That's the other one though, right? Not
Yeah, so
safety,
right now, they don't have good
I think that's how it was proposed.
exemptions
It was
from
proposed that way.
PFML.
Yeah.
It's very unclear, and
Anyway.
hopefully they do clarify that prior to the beginning of the year.
Nothing we can control
No.
here at this
So
bench.
the next item that I have is just
Yeah,
Yeah, we voted. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
The next item is just a contract addendum. So we did approve the last board meeting to regrade 3 different positions. So this is just contract addendum for getting that into their contracts. The first is the deputies? Nope, the first is the supervisor, so the
Supervisor.
chief bailiff.
Yep. So the chief bailiff's going from grade 7 to grade 8.
Yep.
Can we just do them all at once?
You certainly can. The second is the contract addendum for the deputy's contract, reflecting the bailiffs.
Yep.
So just those two?
Correct. Yep. The third position was a non-union position, so there's no need for any addendum.
So do we have a motion to approve the 2 LES contract addendums?
So moved.
I have a motion by Barry. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Erica. Any more discussion? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion carries.
Thank you.
Let's,
you.
let's move on to Steve, and then we'll take a break after Steve. So you got to go fast, Steve.
Morning.
Morning.
Morning, Steve.
The first item is the Minn Kota Power Transmission Line Project Option Agreement. Minn Kota wants to add another line on the south end of our solid waste campus, south of the campus. There's an existing line, they just want to run another power line through there.
Steve, which side of that existing line is it gonna be on? Just curious. I tried to figure it out.
It doesn't really say here
It doesn't say.
in this, but it's in that same, in that
It'll be in
opening
that
going through
same-
there.
Yep.
That's my understanding. I can get clarification on that, though.
It's an additional 2 point some acres, right?
2.4.
Yeah,
Two point-
it's some additional land. It's land that we really don't use, so
But it's a permanent easement on that land.
it's a permanent easement.
I think. the
Picture's
price
on
is-
page 56.
I think the price is low, myself.
It's on page 56, big.
Makes your hair stand up when you stand under the one that's there now.
No.
Just
Does it
saying.
make mine stand up?
Mr. Chair, Steve, is that something that's negotiable? Or do you know that, or
You know,
not
I don't know that. I can reach out to him if you'd like. There's some time on this. I mean, you want-
I think it's low price. I mean, it's
I kinda
2.4
thought it was
acres.
low price,
Yeah, I thought it
too.
was low.
I don't
too,
know what
But I don't know what.
those prices are normally, but
Well, if you don't sign it and they need it, it's gonna go up.
well, I'll tell you,
And that land will be unusable.
it really is.
If
Go
we- if
go
it
look at the
goes,
one,
so.
because it's right by my house.
It is.
That's why I'm concerned if it's coming closer to me yet. But
Well, it's,
either way, it buzzed, that's a big, that thing makes a lot of noise.
yeah, I thought the price was low too, but I don't know anything about it, so.
I mean, when your farmland's appraised for over 10,000 acre,
Mr. Chair,
I
Steve,
just-
could we,
can
if
just
it's not
table it.
Let's table
urgent,
it, yeah.
can we table
I
that?
can table it, and I'll.
Is there anything else besides price that anybody wants to
No,
know
it was
about
ju-
that?
I just
Richard,
thought
you want to
the
know what
price-
side it's on?
Well, it doesn't matter. I'm wondering, it's either gonna be on my side or my neighbor's side. It's closer, so it's gonna be where it's gonna be, but. I
I
hope,
can do that. I'll find that out and get back to you.
Okay,
I'm curious.
sounds good.
And then maybe if you'd reach out to other counties and see if they have similar situations, what the going rate is for something like that, because I don't know. None of us really know. I don't know, Barry, how do you know that that's a little low?
It just seems low.
when you're
Is the
buying, if you're buying
value of
2.5
land?
acres, what can you buy 2.5 acres
And
in
you
Becker
can't-
County?
If you go stand
Well,
under them lines, there's nothing.
You're really
you can
buying the
put a house
airspace
under there.
above, right?
They're buying an easement on the ground.
Yeah.
So they're buying permanent access to that land, which is more or less
You can't use it really for.
Mr. Chair,
tax-free land.
that doesn't mean we can't drive under there and across there, right?
No,
You can, but you can't.
Just table it and we'll talk about it in
Yeah.
subcommittee.
All right, let's move on to,
The second
Second.
item is request to purchase compostable liner bags for household and business organics for the waste containers. This is the liners that will go inside of the carts. We've ordered carts for the residential people as well as commercial ones. This would be covering both.
Mr. Chair, Steve, this would be part of the grant
Correct.
funding.
yep,
With that, I will make a motion to purchase these compostable bags
all
as
right.
requested.
So we have motion by Phil, do we have a
I'll
second?
second.
Second by Richard, any more discussion?
Just to clarify, is that through BioBag,
It is.
right?
Yep,
Yep. Do we
correct.
need the dollar amount?
$17,259.20.
I would amend the motion.
We did get some competitive grants, or competitive bids. This was a little one.
Richard, you okay
Yeah,
with
you good?
amending the motion?
Yep.
Okay.
All right,
The
so we
dollar
have a
amount.
motion and a second and amendment. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All right, motion carries. All right, then Steve, we got to go to number 9.
it was the fence.
It was the fence,
On
yeah.
the fence, yeah.
My question was, do we need the 3 strands of barbed wire on top?
That was, didn't I ask that yesterday? Or
We
did
didn't ask about the barbs, but
No.
I mean, it's an 8-foot fence.
that'd be something I'd have to check with the MPCA because it's a condition to our permit.
I know, but I was just curious if we didn't, I mean, that would reduce the cost if
It
we
would
didn't have
be.
to have that.
Yeah, and I don't know
Hardware.
that we need that.
I don't, if they're gonna get in, they're gonna get in anyway. I
Yeah,
mean,
and then,
Sure, I can check with the MPCA, and if it's agreeable that we can have 2 or 1 or less, and it reduces the price. This was a low quote, so could we still go with this quote?
I'm fine with, I mean, it's something we
Yeah.
require to do, but I was hoping that we could reduce costs by not having the barbed wire
Sure,
on top.
I'll
I
ask
don't
that
think we
question.
need that barbed
So-
wire. But also, Steve, you know, those swing gates,
Yeah,
you know, a rolling gate doesn't have to have a motor on it. But you can, that's so easy to open. I don't care what snow comes. but
Sure.
You know what I mean? Them swing gates with heavy
You gotta have a
snowfall.
big area cleaned.
Yeah,
But, you know, I roll my gate open all winter long, or I used to.
sure.
Because it's, otherwise you have to heat it. But it's, I don't care how much snow we can get, I can walk up and roll that thing like nothing. So
So-
they're not that much, they are a little bit more money, but they're not that much more.
Okay,
And I would say that we would want rolling gates and not swing gates there.
I can find that out.
That, it's a lot less hassle.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, this is not the fencing for the road that we talked
No.
about. You're clear on that, right? That'll be a whole separate thing.
Yep.
We're not fencing the township road that we're, this is for something else.
yep.
Yep,
Okay, all right, I just want to make sure.
I asked that yesterday. in
Okay.
finance, So that's how I
So
can
let's-
speak so
so-
confidently about it.
Can we get, so we're gonna have to get another quote.
Well, we can make a motion to approve,
Pending?
with the request from, who's it, pollution control?
Yeah.
Yeah.
To see if the wire is required, and if not, do it at a lesser amount, at a negotiated lesser amount.
And then check on the
I can check on
non-swing
gates too.
But that would be
So that's your motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the low quote with the option of seeing if the 3 barbed wire strands are required by pollution control. And if not, negotiate a lower price.
And can you add to that to check on the gates too?
Can we look at,
I can,
I'm fine with this. Any cost savings could be addressed to the, well, if you are looking at an increased cost, I think if it's within so many, Carrie would have the
Yeah,
authorization
okay,
to.
yeah. If it's over her amount, then we'll have to bring it back here.
that wouldn't that much.
I don't think so.
So-
All right, so we have that motion?
I don't have anything with the gates, but
Yeah.
yes, the previous. That's administratively.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion and we have a second.
Hold on. Mr., are we clear, Steve? Do you know what we just said?
Yeah.
I did.
I just-
Yep.
Peggy, do you have it written down?
Got it.
Motion to accept the low quote and request that the wiring not be
Okay. Yes.
considered.
I'll second that. Okay, so we have a motion by Barry, a second by me. Do we have any more discussion? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All right, motion carries. All right, we will take,
Mr. Chair, before you break, when Tira's back in the room,
yep,
when she quoted the figures for the paid family leave, I about fell out of my chair, and I'm like, that isn't right, but she's back here to correct her figures for
Okay.
you. Because I didn't want that out publicly, that it was.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, Tiara, please correct them down.
Luckily it is. So my apologies. I looked at the monthly payroll number. Very, very sorry. So it's actually 194,205 annually.
Much better.
Much
I
better.
would like to hear that publicly.
That's an annual number.
Correct.
Yes.
And that's the total annual. So that is split 50-50 between employee and employer.
So about 100,000.
Jeez,
The
Still a
figure,
lot,
200,000.
but
Yeah,
Still a
the
lot,
figure-
yes.
194.
Mr. Chair, if I
Yeah,
may, the figure that we have in the budget
between us.
for the county,
what we're paying.
for the county share,
She
we
just
did
was
take
half.
the .0044 because we
Yeah,
weren't sure we were
yeah,
going to
yeah,
go
yeah.
private. Anyway, that
We'll-
figure is
we'll verify.
116,704.
that's from .4044.
Correct, so it's a little bit high,
It'll be a little less.
correct.
Okay.
So it's better than $1 million.
Thank you for correcting.
So this, I'm sorry, Carrie, I didn't
Yes,
hear you, but the
yes.
194,205, the half of that goes on to payroll for the employees to pay, half of it.
It's
the
a shared cost,
employer pays.
yes. But we, as you recall, with the private contract, we got a little bit better rate.
Yep,
So,
yep.
yes, thank you.
Something for us to consider in the future, because we do have a bank. Are we going to eliminate our bank?
I think we're going to have to revisit that or how to use that. Just for clarification on this paid family medically, it's, you have to qualify for the leave, obviously. It doesn't pay out the full wages. Tiara has already alluded to that. There is a waiting period for this for some people. So the one area that I would see as the catastrophic leave bank perhaps may be beneficial is those new employees that are coming in with no time. They'll be waiting a 7-day wait period before they're eligible for this other leave as well. But to your point, I think we do need to revisit that. Yes.
One thing with the 7 days, though, with PFML, it does go back and pay them that 7 days once they do get approved for the leave. So they would have to either pay back or their leave will be offset by the amount that they're paid in between.
Is there any requirement to use down the leave that they have, their sick or vacation?
So Carrie and I have kind of been discussing this at length. So we're required as an employer to either allow them to supplement with their leave or to not. It does specifically need to be in policy, or the state would not allow for them to supplement, and ultimately their benefits from PFML would be reduced by whatever amount they took, either
If we don't have it in our policy?
Correct, yes.
So we should probably look at,
We should probably look
That-
at the policy.
I think we need to make a decision.
yeah,
Have to make a decision.
Yes.
before January?
Correct, January 1.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Again, my apologies.
Thanks.
Thank
All right,
you.
We'll take a break till 10:06. We are back in session, so Kyle.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. I have one item for your consideration this morning. It's a decision on an environmental assessment worksheet petition that we received regarding the Prairie Lakes Investment Conditional Use Permit for a gravel mine in Lake Eunice Township. Here this morning is Attorney Tammy Norgard, who will be going over the petition. She's representing the individuals. So just turn it over to you. And
Okay, great.
Can I interrupt? Could you spell your last name for?
Sure. So
Peggy.
it's Tammy, Tami, Norgard is Norgard.
Thank you.
And I'm an attorney with the Vogel Law Firm. I was hired by a number of area property owners in the vicinity of this proposed gravel mine, and they're very concerned about basically nuisance conditions and environmental conditions, just to put a broad brush on it. As I looked at this project, I have a few big observations. And
Can I say one thing before you? This is just for the environmental study,
right.
so please make sure that all your comments are for the environmental study and nothing else.
Right,
Okay.
yep, and I totally understand what you're
Yep.
saying, because this is a separate hearing, whether
Yep.
there's a need for a discretionary EAW versus whether you should approve or deny the conditional use permit. They're entirely separate, however, there's significant overlap. And that's where in my comments that I put together and in my comments today, I kind of address both in certain areas because the relevance of things like noise, dust, vibration, nuisance conditions.
I would disagree with you. The noise, we don't need to talk about. The dust, maybe. It's only for environmental issues. I don't know if you guys, I just want to make sure that you're not talking, we're not going to go through some of the information, you know what I'm saying?
An EAW, when you ask somebody to prepare an EAW, it's about 22 questions that have to have detailed responses to them. And it identifies certain areas that have to be reviewed and provide information. Question number 17 deals with noise.
Okay.
And so when it comes to an environmental assessment worksheet, the state of Minnesota has rules that identify what needs to be studied, and actually noise is one of the things that need to be studied because it's identified as something that would be a nuisance to your neighbors.
Mr. Chair, can I ask a question before?
Yeah.
So I understand that the EAW has 22 questions, but do all of those need to be addressed in determining whether or not one is required?
No.
So
Yeah.
I think that's what.
That's where I'm coming from.
What we need to know is why should one be required or not?
Right. And so the legal standard of whether you need to order an environmental assessment, usually there's categories that are mandatory. You don't have any choice, you have to do it. Okay, and then there's categories that are discretionary, and you have to decide, and the language is in the Minnesota rules, it's Rule 4100.1700, and the standard for you to decide is that there needs to be an EAW if, because of the nature of the project, it may have the potential for adverse environmental impacts and affecting the human environment. Okay, so you have to decide, based on all the evidence you've been presented with, whether there is a concern on the environmental impacts of the project. And one of the concerns I have is that this application is very sparse. And so the first thing, and this is where it ties in, you have to have the information in front of you to make sure that that meeting your planning and zoning requirements and standards, your planning and zoning commission was supposed to decide that there are no unreasonable adverse impacts to surrounding property, no adverse impacts to the valuation of the property, no nuisance conditions going to be created for the neighbors, basically. And so my point is, you don't know that. You can't know that. That decision is arbitrary when the Planning and Zoning Commission said, yeah, sure, it should be approved. There's no adverse impacts to anybody. Okay, I think that is something that could be overturned by a court easily because you don't have any of the information in front of you. The developer didn't provide that information. And that's where it ties into the
interrupt you for a second.
EAW.
So that is part of the CUP, not part of the environmental. So we're not going to talk about that today.
Okay, and that's where I'm saying they overlap because you have to decide.
I'm going to interrupt you again. Please do not mention that again because we are not going to talk about the conditional use permit, the act, because to me that has nothing to do with the environment. We're doing it with our environmental study. How does it affect, how does the possibility of this affect the environment? Not the way the application was filled out for the conditional use permit. Okay?
I understand what you're saying, Commissioner. The difficulty is, in order for you to decide whether you need an EAW, you have to assess the quality of information that has been presented to you.
That's correct, and we have that information.
And you've been presented information in the form of an application by the developer. And that's the only information you've been presented with. And so
Yep.
that's where I'm saying you have to rely on the application. And if I say the application is deficient because it doesn't go through how they're dealing with dust, how they're addressing erosion, how they're dealing with noise, vibration, that's because that's what is, I'm picking from the application because it's deficient. And so I apologize if I'm, in your mind, crossing a line by referencing the conditional use permit application, but that's all you have in front of you. And that's what you need to support your decision in this case is there enough information in that you can say today, well, there's no possibility, there's no need, no concern about environmental impacts. And so, and that's where I'm saying it's insufficient. And the way you find out that information, and I represent gravel companies, so I am not an anti-gravel person at all. I do a lot of work for gravel companies. And what you need is you have to fill out the plans that you've decided as Becker County in your ordinance that you need to have in front of you to make decisions. And I'm not going to argue about the plans that they're missing, and they are missing, as I've indicated in my materials, the staging plan, reclamation plan, they don't even have any of that. But the important thing of that is that those plans provide you with that information that you can make these environmental decisions on. And without any of that information on staging, groundwater, topography, reclamation, how are you going to sit here today and decide, oh yeah, there's no potential for any environmental concerns? And that's where the tech panel met, and the tech panel said, yeah, we don't have the information. And I haven't seen a staff report on that, and I don't know if you have, on the tech panel, but they said there's deficient information. So even your tech panel is saying, well, we can't really identify whether there's, an environmental issue in some of these cases, because the problem with what the developer did is the developer said, well, hey, we'll get permits from the MPCA, and that's going to be sufficient. So there's not going to be any problem with dust or noise or vibration or anything like that, because we'll get permits for airborne constituents. But the problem with that is that you can't just say, oh, we'll get a permit later, because your ordinances say that they need to submit, if you're going to rely on continued mitigation, future mitigation through regulatory authority, they have to be specific. And they have to give you specific information on how it's going to mitigate concerns. And without any of that information, you deciding whether there's an environmental review component necessary here, you don't have any information on which to make that decision. And so that's where, when you don't have a record, you can't make a finding in favor of something when you don't have the information in front of you. And that's part of the reason it's deficient. I will say, this is a 90-acre parcel in general. I have a map that I brought. I'm sure you have. Usually there'd be a visual that would show you where the property is. And I'll just identify here that this little crosshatched area is the area that's expected to be mined. And I wanted to emphasize to you what is around that area. There's 3 residential subdivisions. There's 11 parcels. You have a house 100 feet from the property line and 170 feet from the property line. And they're proposing to have gravel mining right there, 200 feet and 100 feet from properties. And, I heard the commissioner's comment about a power line being too close to his house, and he's concerned about where a power line would be. How do you think these landowners feel when they're 200 feet and 100 feet from a gravel crushing and mining operation? And there will be an impact. There will be an impact to the neighbors. There will be an impact from dust, fugitive dust emissions. There will be an impact. And so you need to be assured that there's not going to be an environmental impact. And how have they done that? Well, they've gone through and they have said that there won't be any dust because our dust plan is we're going to put some material on the roads. We're going to water down the roads. It totally misses the mark, right? That's not the dust we're concerned about necessarily when you're living right next to an active gravel crushing operation. The application also says they're going to use some material on site to make a screen, a visual screen, and that's going to take care of all the aesthetics and the dust and the noise. We don't know anything about this proposed screen, visual screen. We don't know how high it is. We don't know if they're just going to dig up a bunch of boulders and sand and pile it around and make a fortress and work within it. And is that an appropriate aesthetic screen? Well, we don't know because you don't know, you haven't seen it. And so this is directly relevant to an environmental assessment worksheet. You should order an environmental assessment worksheet so you get more information on that. And that you can figure out, is this going to adversely affect the neighbors or isn't it? Is having an active gravel mine going to reduce the ability to develop some of these other vacant residences? There's vacant properties that have been platted by the county, and they're trying to sell them. Well, suddenly you're opening an open gravel mine next to it. Is that going to affect the, ability to sell that land? And I would say absolutely it would. I think there's inconsistencies in that, and this is relevant to the dust and the noise. In the Planning Commission, or the Planning and Zoning Commission has said, well, we won't let them crush and mine during the summer. And saying that's just going to take care of it. And otherwise, there won't be any adverse impacts because we're only going to let them crush and mine during the fall and the spring. But that's inconsistent because it basically says there is an impact. There is an impact to the neighbors. So we're just going to let them be impacted, half the year and half.
Tammy, I
Sure.
don't think that was one of the conditions. I don't think that was a condition on that. I was only, the restriction on the summer use was only within 400 feet of the one residence. Is that correct? There was
Crushing was limited.
to spring and fall?
After Labor Day and before Memorial Day. Yep.
I thought that was just mining by the one
The one
resident.
resident,
That's how I read it.
Okay.
But
I think the finding of fact said 500 feet from the home during certain time periods. It was after
The one home.
Labor
The
Day
one home, yeah, the one home.
and
Yeah,
before
on my
Memorial
findings,
Weekend.
We have crushing limited to,
Spring and fall?
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And then within 500 feet of that home would be limited to spring and fall as well.
And Mr. Chair, we did change the hours there too, but at the tech panel, as I remember, we left the tech panel saying we needed somebody from the MPCA to give us an expert opinion on the silicate or whatever, the stuff in the air. And that's where we left, that's the one determining piece that I thought we had to have, and we had a deadline to get that. So
So I reached out to them and they were not able to provide us anybody that was able to meet. They basically sent us some guidelines for thresholds for permitting requirements, and that's the email that I forwarded you, if you recall that. They couldn't provide us someone, so therefore we didn't meet.
And that's, I guess, I would say that you don't have the sufficient information in front of you then. I mean, we submitted health effects of silica dust when you're living close to an active gravel mine, as just showing you that there are real impacts to health. And there was some testimony at the Planning and Zoning Commission with residents that have lung conditions that live close by, and that they were very concerned with their lung conditions. I mean, you see the smoke advisories that we've had the last week, and it actively impacts people's health. So it's a real concern. And if you're living next to something that continually churns that out, it's an active concern. And you need to know more about it. And that's where, if you order the discretionary EAW, the developer has to go through and present more information on the plan and why there is or isn't a concern, and what they can impose that would mitigate those concerns. And that's really what we're talking about here, is what would be appropriate mitigation, whether it's an appropriate location. There's groundwater flow issues. You have traffic safety issues, which is also considered in an EAW. And you don't have any information on how many trucks are expected, what the timeline looks like, what stages are going to be actively mined and when. I mean, in one place it says we're just going to crush enough to be used on site, and that's 25,000 cubic yards. Another place says we're going to mine 700,000 cubic yards. And so, what is it? And whatever the Planning Commission has recommended, that's not a decision, that's just a recommendation. but that's where it's a little bit up in the air of what's even being proposed, and you don't have enough information in front of you in order to say, oh yeah, that's not going to have any effect on the neighbors. Is it 25,000 acre feet or cubic yards, and is that in a certain area at a certain stage that happens in a certain time frame, or is it much more? Is it 700,000? Because that's a dramatic difference between those two, and especially if you're living 100 feet or 176 feet from that. We have drainage conditions. We have noxious weed control issues, fugitive dust emissions. I think in general, and I know you don't want to hear about the application not meeting your conditions, but one of the conditions that your Becker County ordinance requires is a mining operational plan. And they're supposed to give you specific information on a number of things. And had they done that, you would have a lot more environmental information to base this decision on today. But they basically didn't even have complete sentences. I mean, there's probably a dozen different topics here about mining timetable, method of extraction, topsoil management, erosion control, screening plans, noise control, setbacks, dust control, pollution control. Okay, there's less than a sentence on each of these. And what they're supposed to submit to you under your ordinance is a specific plan for your operations. And this is what you're making your decision on whether they've provided you enough information to make you confident that there's not going to be any adverse effects from their plan. And I'm saying if you're saying this is sufficient, this is all you have to expect from a developer, I will tell you the people that live really close to this mining and crushing operation don't feel comfortable that this is the type of responsible developer that they want to be crushing gravel right next to them. Because when their noise controls are just setbacks, topography, and hours of operation are going to prevent any offensive noise. That's no offensive noise, as long as just in those situations. And screening plan, topography and material piles will screen the project. Okay, is that really a specific plan? Just saying it's sorely insufficient. And you know what? I think these developers are probably great guys. I know one of them was appointed on the planning commission. This isn't personal at all. And they want to make some money, and nobody's saying they shouldn't. The county needs gravel. Great. Yeah, they do. But if you approve this, I mean, you're basically allowing them to profit and cause contamination, dust, noise, vibration at the expense of their neighbors. And if you approve this and say there's no EAW required
So
here.
We're talking about the EAW.
I know.
So if we approve the EAW, then.
No. If you don't require an EAW.
So that's, I just wanted to make sure you stated it correctly.
Yeah, I was mid-sentence.
Okay,
Yeah.
All right.
If you don't require an EAW here, and you say this is a fine place to have a gravel mine with no additional environmental protection than this or no other information, you as a county board cannot deny anything. You cannot allow another, you can't require an EAW on the next guy if somebody gives you a sentence on the things they're going to do and says, trust me. And we don't need an EAW because you didn't order one in this place, in this situation, because you have to treat similarly situated parties before you the same. And if you're going to say, oh, this is fine, yep, we have plenty of information in front of us. The next one, I don't know what the next application is going to be that is going to trigger a discretionary EAW, and that you have well over 100 people petitioning saying this is something of concern, we're concerned about it, please ask for a discretionary EAW. You're not going to be able to say no on anything in the future. If you think that this is sufficient, it almost makes a discretionary environmental assessment worksheet in this county in front of you a non-issue. If this doesn't trigger it, I don't know what would, to be honest, because there's usually a lot more information than this that's presented. I also, in my petition for an EAW, I attached what the EQB says you should look at and that you should have in front of you when you decide on a mining plan and whether that would have a discretionary EAW. I included the executive summary and the details of what you should be requiring. None of that is in this. And this is the operational plan. There's not a staging plan or a reclamation plan. This is the plan we've got. But if you look at what the EQB recommends that these local governments have and look at, none of it is even remotely close. There are townships, I cited townships that say every mining plan needs to have an EAW because we are concerned with health, noise, dust, property values. They want an EAW on every mining plan. Cited some of that. I just gave you a handful of examples of where it's very normal for local government units to require an EAW with a mining plan, because these aren't just something that you put next door to your average citizens here in Becker County. You don't put an active mining crushing operation, a heavy industrial use, right next door to your residences and right in the middle of 3 residential subdivisions, and you're 3/4 of a mile from Pelican Lake, 3/4 of a mile from Cormorant Lake. This is the middle of recreation mecca, which is a big part of your tax base. And I just think that if you're going to allow it here, where there's a lot of sand and gravel all over in Lakes Country.
There is not. I'm going to stop you there.
Okay.
It's not everywhere.
I know it's not everywhere.
It's only in certain places.
Yep.
And when you move out into the country, you're going to move out into the country, you got to know you're not going to control everything all around you. And whether it's a hog operation, a dairy operation, somebody combining, whatever it is, but a gravel pit is so minimal. You can make it sound terrible, and you do. You make it sound terrible. I'm in them every day. What this would do for the county is have gravel accessible to all those people there. Instead of trucking it, trucking is expensive, it's hard on our roads. They'll be selling gravel there, and that's not available. There's a lot of gravel pits down in that area, they're everywhere. But there's not a gravel available to me out of those pits. Most of that stuff is going into Fargo, it's not even just for sale for me. You talk about noise, gravel pits, one of the loudest noises in a gravel pit is a backup beeper. There's going to be uncomfortable things that come from everything. But what you're saying is we shouldn't have one of those anywhere, because I have houses right next to my gravel pit, but what it does is it allows me not to go halfway across the county to get a load of gravel. It allows me to go there and get that gravel and take it to that job site. So I'm saving on our roads, I'm saving on traffic conditions everywhere, not just there. And this is, unfortunately, this is what happens when anybody comes up against a campground or whatever it is. They come in and make it sound like this terrible, horrible thing. And I stood up for a campground. I said, go sit there and see what actually is there. I don't need some big study to tell me the effects of a gravel pit. I can just go look at them. And they're nothing like you're making them out to be. And this is America. People get to buy that piece of land and use it. Now, is it going to destroy somebody's life? No. Is it going to complicate or make a little noise or a little dust? Maybe. But nothing compared to the benefits that gravel pit would produce.
If I can respond just briefly, and I'm not going to argue with you that gravel is necessary.
What I'm saying is just true.
No. I'm saying, I'm not going to argue with you that gravel is necessary. It is if we can
If you guys could
keep it
please
down.
not make noise when she's talking.
So gravel is necessary, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100% agree with you. However, you have an ordinance in Becker County, and I assume that your ordinance was intentionally drafted and you passed it and you're supposed to follow it, because that's what the law requires, is you have to follow your ordinance, you have to follow the law. What you're saying is it's so necessary in the country, and so what, everyone has to put up with a little inconvenience. Why would you even have an ordinance that says this says if you're going to have a gravel operation, you need a conditional use permit. And basically, the position that you're espousing is, why, you wouldn't even need a conditional use permit. You'd never even need to look at dust or noise or backup alarms or aesthetics. Don't worry about it. They can go anywhere. And that's not true. It's your ordinance is here for a reason. You are duty bound to follow your ordinance. You have to follow Minnesota law. Whether you like it or not, Minnesota law says if there's a concern about the environment, or if you don't have enough information in front of you to decide whether there's the potential for concerns because of dust, noise, vibration, nuisance conditions to your neighbors, then you should order an EAW so that you can better study that. Because if you go forward and allow something like that without an EAW and then go on to approve it later and it gets appealed, the Court of Appeals, or the court's going to say, what did you decide on? Where's your evidence? And you're going to say, well, I know because I am involved in gravel pit operations, and I don't know that that's in front of you.
From what you're saying, we can't have any then.
Nope.
Can't have any in Becker County because I'm gonna tell you something, there's gonna be a truck hauling out of there, and that's what I'm saying. They are a necessary thing. Everybody in here needs it. Everybody in here uses it. Everybody does. And
I've told you, I represent gravel
Yeah,
pits and
well-
gravel operators, but they come in with their mining plan, their operating plan, all their information, their studies. They've met with the neighbors. They've talked about mitigation. They plant trees. They put buffers. They limit lighting. They limit hours. There's a lot more that goes along with a more sophisticated gravel operation. And so I'm just saying, you as a county need to follow your ordinance. You need to follow Minnesota law. And that's what these other gravel operators do, and you should require all the gravel operators to do that.
Mr. Chair, Kyle, I have a question for you. So today our options are really, we order an EAW, we don't order an EAW. Is there also an option where we or the applicant would table the application to provide the additional information that we're hearing is possibly lacking?
Not to my knowledge, the EQP, once the petition was received, we were given 15 days to respond to that petition. We were allowed one 15-day extension, which I requested and we utilized. I believe we received this the 16th or 17th, so we would.
So our only options are either order an EAW or not order an EAW.
There would be no further time unless we met like
So,
tomorrow.
Kyle, I have a question too. Who does the EAW worksheet? Who would do it?
The applicant is responsible for providing that information,
Good.
and that information is reviewed by the county.
And the county can assess your costs of reviewing that. If you hire a consultant to review it, or if there's cost to you of reviewing it, you can assess that to the applicant as well. And I will just address Commissioner Jepson's question about what if you want more information. I mean, that's where I think that it's incumbent upon the applicant to come forward with the right information so you're confident in making a decision. And if you don't have that information in front of you and you have to make a decision, then you don't have that information in front of you. And that's where the standard kicks in, that because of the nature of the project, with the information you have in front of you, if there's potential for adverse environmental effects to the human environment, you need to order an EAW. And that's where, when I was at the meeting with the tech panel, I encouraged the developer to withdraw the application. Because I said, it's so sorely insufficient that you should withdraw the application and reapply it another time. Because you can't keep putting Band-Aids on it as you move forward and say, oh, you wanted this information? I'll give you a little more information. Because the process starts with the public comment period before the Planning Commission. You know, the public is allowed to review and have comments at the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission should look at that information before it comes to this point. And so basically they can do it over, and they should withdraw their application and do it right and supply the information that you require in your ordinance so that you can make this decision.
Or go sit in the driveway of a gravel pit for a half hour.
So what, and basically at the tech panel, Commissioner Nelson and Hanson were both there, and the dust question was left on the table. So with communicating with the MPCA regarding the petition and seeking their input, basically related to dust, the PCA didn't provide us an opinion on the petition of dust control. It did, however, explain that an applicability determination will need to be completed to determine whether the applicant requires an air permit for its mining operation, and that even if no air permit is required, that the applicant must comply with state noise and dust rules found in Minnesota rules. That is basically the outcome from what we got from them. That they would have to do this determination for the mine to determine if they met thresholds for permit requirements. And even if they didn't, they would still have to follow Minnesota rule regarding state or noise and dust.
Mr. Chair, here's my dilemma. I think there's a lot of issues with this, with the application, and a lot of concerns for the individual residents around there. So as present, I mean, I don't know if we can even discuss about the application in total, or what my opinion is in support or not. I don't know if we can, this is just for EAW, but I can see the concerns of the area. So I'm trying to figure out, we can't work on the permit itself. I'm looking to Carrie.
No, we can't.
I don't know if we can state our support or non-support of the project in its entirety now at this time. Because if, this board may vote it down completely, may alter it significantly, and those are questions, this is the cart before the horse. But like you said, if if we're voting on what's before us, then it's a different story to me that if it's something different than that. If it's if the applicant, or if we change this as a board saying, this is too long, or this is too much, or this isn't sufficient, we need this, that would be at a later meeting. So I'm struggling because I have the concerns, but I don't know if an EAW is the route that would, even if an EAW comes back, I still have probably more concerns than that would answer.
If I can respond to that, I think that's the very reason why you need an EAW, is because you can't tell us right now what conditions need to be put on it without knowing what the plans are and what the impacts are and what their plans for screening, what are they doing with the materials on site. You need to study what does that mean? What's the impacts of that? And without that information before you, how do you even put the conditions on it? And that's what I'm saying. That's the very purpose of an EAW, is to give you more information so you can better delineate timeframes, limitations on hours, years, amounts, et cetera.
We can change things. Most of the dust is going to come from the road. You put a little mag chloride on the road, the crusher does not make that much dust. It makes a little dust. Most of the dust is going to be on the road. They could mag chloride that road, and there's your issue there. The noise is that that's why I say we don't need an EAW. Any of these people can go sit in a gravel pit. Any of these people can go sit in a gravel pit and see what conditions are there, and they're not that bad. And that's, I don't need the state of Minnesota or anybody else to come and tell me that. I can visually see it, hear it, I can breathe it. That it's not that bad. I have emphysema, and I'm in a gravel pit almost every day.
How do you get that emphysema?
Smoking Marlboro Reds.
Mr. Chair, Kyle, I went back, I found the email, that the MPCA sent. There's nothing definitive there. I thought that, the two things out of the tech panel, and Barry, you were there too, help me with this, but the two things I thought we were from that meeting, we're going to go with, we're going to go to the MPCA and figure out if they had an expert that could make a recommendation about this. The second thing was the reclamation plan, the berm. I thought we were going to put some specifics on those things that would be easily attainable because they weren't answered. Those are two things that I can remember. I got my notes. I don't have them here.
I recall the dust specifically. That was the concern of I believe, Ed. And essentially from that meeting, so I got a letter yesterday, which I'll read to you. I don't know what the reclamation and burn plan would have came from that maybe.
I don't know either. That's what.
Dust was to me, what was left on the table at that meeting. But I got this letter from Soil and Water yesterday. It says, we attended the County Technical Review Committee meeting on June 26, 2025 to review the EAW petition for Prairie Lakes gravel mine proposal. The committee meets to make recommendations to the county on environmental concerns on these types of projects. Becker Soil and Water Conservation District is the LGU for the Minnesota Wetland Conservation Act in Becker County. We also provide input on the conservation of soil and water resources in Becker County. Our comments on this EAW petition are strictly within the scope of those topics, as they were within our area of authority and expertise at the County Technical Review Committee meeting. From a Becker County SWCD standpoint, we would not recommend that the county requires an EAW for this project. This recommendation is based on, 1, a site visit to the proposed gravel mining property on the morning of June 26th to look for potential wetland areas that would be subject to WACA. We did not find any areas that meet wetland criteria subject to WACA jurisdiction on this proposed parcel. Number 2, the process of gravel mining obviously results in significant disturbance of soils within the area of operation. We did not see any surface water resources that would be significantly impacted by the mining of gravel within the proposed area of operation or on nearby properties that could receive surface water runoff. We recommend that prior to the issuance of a Becker County conditional use permit, the project sponsor submit a mine reclamation plan to the county. That ensures that the site be regraded, topsoiled, and vegetated after mining operations have ceased to minimize post-mining soil erosion while meeting needs of whatever future uses are intended for this property. There is one other topic somewhat unrelated to the specific recommendation, but also of significance to the Becker County SWCD. A couple weeks ago, the sponsor of this project met with Brandon Gill, the Becker County Ag Inspector, employed by the SWCD. The sponsor will work with Brandon to become a Becker County certified weed-free gravel pit, with which Brandon monitors. This program lists mining operations that have agreed to export gravel free of vegetation listed under Minnesota noxious weed law. Brandon conducts annual inspections of these certified pits to ensure compliance. And lastly, let us know if any further information is needed. One last time, we are basing this recommendation solely within the scope of our expertise in MN WACA rule and soil and water conservation. If you desire a recommendation based on all EW factors, would be happy to assist with that committee recommendation. So again, when we left there, we're looking at being outside of the shoreline, coming down to noise and dust. Basically, the only people I think that could speak completely to that was the MPCA, and what they gave us is they were still looking for somebody to speak to us, and we're within a timeline that we don't have any more time to wait for whoever this individual may be, and suggest doing this applicability determination basically if it's granted. If it were granted and they needed that permit, then they would be required to get that or done. That's the only thing I can give you to go off of. I mean, we weren't given anything further from them. So you could suggest through a conditional use permit that if through reclamation, I don't know is going to do much for dust in terms of.
Oh, reclamation would put topsoil back on and get something growing. I mean, usually,
right, but
unless it's just sand.
Once it's needing to be reclaimed, they're not working in that area, like disturbing it, creating dust. But yes, to your point, that probably would eliminate some faster. But I was thinking probably the stockpiles around is what was going to eliminate some of that dust from the.
Well, again, this is a difficult one because we need a more detailed plan for reclamation and for the whole operation. There's no question, in my opinion, that we need that. I think the time frame, the project as presented has numerous things that would that change? I mean, I still have my concerns whether we have an EAW or not. I mean, and the EAW can tell us, if the EAW could tell us specific things about how is radon affecting the adjoining properties if it's released from the soils, because if you look on the state website, that is significant. We are in a significant radon area in Becker County. And is there silica dust? I don't know if there's any silica dust in that area or not. Is that something that we could find out prior to the application coming to us?
Would the dust be any different if it were farmland?
Dust as in silica dust?
I mean, if
Silica
they chose
dust, silica dust is
plant corn there and it's going to create dust, is that
Silica
Any
dust is a
different?
silica dust is a harmful
And
dust.
it comes from silica sand though, right?
Yeah, that's what I said,
And
I don't know that there's any in there.
I've not heard that there is any silica sand there. It would surprise me if there is.
It would surprise me too.
Because we go a long ways to get it from here. It's mined down by Mankato, but I've never heard of any here.
Again, I don't disagree with you.
Yeah, I don't think there is. I don't think, I think there are concerns here. Do we need EAW? No. We're intelligent people who can look at different things and figure it out. But trying to waste more time and make these guys jump through more hoops just costs everybody more money.
When you're making the decision, and Tammy, you can correct me if I'm wrong in your opinion, but you have three things. You have a threshold of a mandatory EAW, you have a discretionary EAW, and you have a petition for an EAW. You have to base it off of the evidence before you to determine if you believe significant environmental effects are going to be created from this operation. So it's based off that evidence. So what you have to base, your decision is based off of what evidence Tammy has put before you. Is that going to cause significant environmental effects? It's not gathering the evidence. It's not my job to do that, nor is it your job. The petition has to show the evidence. You have to either decide what is that going to cause significant environmental.
Well,
Again, that's
I would disagree a bit because you're saying that it's incumbent upon the neighbors to provide information on whether there's environmental concerns here. But in fact, it's the proposer, it's the proponent, the applicant that has to establish to your comfort level that there's no adverse environmental impacts. And it's not.
our counsel, I guess, that we've retained has directed me differently. That the evidence needs to be provided by the petitioner, and that is what you're basing your decision off of. That's how I've been directed.
The EQB does an initial review. That's why we originally send the letter to the EQB. We have to include technical information that would establish that we have a real concern here. If we didn't include that technical information, the EQB wouldn't have forwarded it to you.
I think they look at like the completeness, but I don't know that they're validating concerns, are they? If they were doing that, we wouldn't be making this decision.
So what you're saying, Kyle, is that we have to decide if we have enough information from the petition, because we got information about the water. That's not the soil and water took care of that for us with dust and noise. And did they show us in the petition that that's an issue?
Right, and
Okay.
what you've heard, what you've gathered,
Yep.
If you've been on site, if you've listened to the planning commission recording, so what you've gathered through all of this and the evidence in this petition, I think that's where your decision is made.
And maybe just to level set here, because I don't want you to have the impression that the burden of proof is on my clients to prove something. If the actual rule 4410, 1100, and it's subsection 6, EAW decision. So this is what Minnesota rules require of you. And it says that the RGU shall order the preparation of an EAW if the evidence presented by the petitioners, the proposers, so petitioners is my clients, the proposers who are the applicants, and any other persons or otherwise known to the RGU demonstrates that because of the nature or location of the proposed project, the project may have the potential for significant environmental effects. So it's potential. It's not like we proved there's a significant environmental effect. Is there a potential in your mind based on what's been provided to you today? The RGU shall deny the petition if the evidence presented fails to demonstrate that the project may have the potential for significant effects. So that's where if you're going to deny it, you have to, you shall deny if the evidence that's been presented through the application and through our comments demonstrates that there's no way that this project would have environmental effects. And then in considering the evidence, the RGU must take into account the factors listed in this other provision, subpart 7. RGU shall maintain a separate document that has a record making your specific findings of your decision on the need for this. So you have to make specific factual findings on what you're finding. No, there's absolutely no potential for any significant impacts. If you're going to deny the EAW, you have to be prepared to make that written finding and say, there's enough evidence, and we've heard from the experts in the tech panel, and we don't believe there's any problem ever going to happen with dust here and noise and nuisance conditions to the neighbors. That's the legal standard to you. And I can go through the criteria if you want me to go through those too.
You know, today, Mr. Chair, I was probably, I'm not real sure how to go today. I mean, because I don't like this project very well. I think it's affecting people in a negative way. But I don't know what the environmental concerns. I mean, there's a couple concerns still out there that I'm not sure of. But the incomplete plan, I mean, it just leaves so many things, so many questions. And I would like to say I don't want an EAW because I want to limit the scope of this so much that I don't know that it would require an EAW. But with such if we're going to look at approving this at a future meeting, I can't see how, unless you're going to reduce this significantly and minimize this, I can't see how you couldn't ask for an EAW. And I didn't know that, I mean, I don't know that we would need one if we approve it if it goes forward and is approved at a significant less impact, but as it's been moved forward, I think we need an EAW. That's, if it was a different project with a more complete plans, I don't know that it would, so.
But that's something we can look at. We're always putting conditions on all kinds of things. And like I said, the dust can be addressed. The noise is not that significant. It's just not.
I think,
And
sorry, Richard, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
And so environmentally, you're looking at a machine digging out gravel and putting, I could name a bunch of things that go on here that are really hard on our environment. I'm not going to do that, but I will. I'm a human being, an intelligent human being. I can look at the gravel pit and see the environmental impact on it. And it's a necessary thing. There's so many good things that will come out. Nobody's looking at the good things. There's so many good things. Air pollution, for one thing. If you look at a truck getting 5 miles to the gallon and a diesel fuel burning truck, and instead of bringing it all the way from Richwood, which is where I have to go now because there is nobody selling gravel down in that area. There is one, and that's aggregate, and it's very expensive. So there's no competition down there. So when I go down to Lake Ida, I'm going to have to go to Richwood to get my rock. There's so many benefits to this gravel pit. It's huge. And when you just look at the negative side, and I'm going to say it one more time, it's a gravel pit. That they're not that complicated, and it's not that hard to control dust, and we can set conditions on this when we pass it or not. I cannot see making these guys go through this for a gravel pit. To me, it's ridiculous.
Here, Mr. Chair, Commissioner Barberg, here's my concern, is while I largely agree with you, I also agree with Commissioner Nelson in that we can make these conditions when it comes to approving or denying the permit, but that's not what we're here to decide today.
Right.
What we have to decide today is the information that we have in front of us based off of, do we have sufficient evidence to say that the application as presented doesn't pose any environmental risks? I don't know that we do, but I also don't want to force them to go, spend $20,000 on an EAW. But the reality is we don't have a sufficient mining plan to show what they're going to do, and that we can require that in the conditional use permit, what we want them to do. But that's not what's in front of us today. What's in front of us today is, do we have sufficient evidence to require an EAW or not an EAW? I think most of the concerns we can address in a conditional use permit, but that's not what's in front of us today.
Well,
That's the struggle.
I don't care, Erica, if you build a chicken house, you're gonna hurt the environment. If you go out here and get in your car and drive back to Fargo or wherever you live, you're gonna hurt the environment.
But because they gathered the petition, presented the petition that there's discretionary evidence to prove that an EAW could be warranted, we're now here to make that decision today. So that's all I have to say at this moment. I got to go back to my head.
Mr. Chair, so Barry, I think you started it, and I agreed with your line of thinking there. So Kyle, the petition, we're deciding on the petition if we do the EAW, I get that. Are we past date on that, or do we got to do that today?
16th, isn't it?
We have to, the EAW has to be decided today.
I received the EAW.
They contemplate monthly meetings. It's 15 days unless you're somebody that meets monthly or, if you need the time to consider it at your meeting. So it would have to be done today.
Okay.
Yeah, we got it June 17th.
And we applied for extension, so July 17th.
Here's the one question. I believe it's 30 working days. So if you count the 17th as that, so one.
So it would be in August. Yeah, August 5th. 30 working days.
But what is it?
Well, I'm seeing if we can do this. I've never been through this before either. So,
I believe we're on
Mr.
day 21.
What?
I believe we're on day 21 of working.
Of 30? Of 30, okay. So, Mr. Chair, Kyle, could we, Ms. Norgard brought up some things in the tech panel after we'd been through planning and zoning. She brought up some things that I don't think had been considered. Roger Hemphill mentioned some of that. Could we send this back to planning and zoning to address some of those issues, or can we not do that?
I think you have to have a yes or no today.
Yeah, I mean, or.
Well, for the EAW.
Or we'd have to call a special meeting within this 30-day timeline.
I think the options are, if you vote to have an EAW, I think the applicant they can not do it and not move forward. And like Tammy said, refile with a more complete application, which would be probably quite a bit cheaper than an EAW. Or they can do an EAW and continue as a proposal. During that time, they can obviously, they have 90 acres there, they can get a land alteration permit and start work on their own projects.
They just can't sell them.
They just can't remove it from their property. Is that correct, Al?
Yes, in which I just got some numbers from their engineer. They're going to be applying for that land alteration.
I don't know that the EAW is going to give us a lot of information that we don't know, but without that data, without that more complete submission of application, I think in my mind, I'd like not to require, but I think in my mind, it's one of those things we're going to have just because we don't have that should have been on, a lot of that should have been on the original application. And we don't have it. And unfortunate that we can't go back in time and get that, because I think an EAW might be, in this case, not needed if we had that information.
If I can just respond to Commissioner Varberg, the concerns, I can hear that you're saying, hey, I just want to allow it. I want everything to go forward. I don't want an EAW, but that's if we're talking about EAW. But I guess my point would be, even if you're saying, I think this is a fine project, we don't need an EAW, don't you want to make developers do things right? and provide the information, because you're hearing from the other commissioners that we don't think there's enough information here. If you say, yes, you have to do a discretionary EAW, maybe the developer will say, well, it sounds like there's a lot of concern with my application that it's insufficient, and now I'm going to have to do a discretionary EAW. Why don't I pull my application, go get the information that everybody seems to be saying would be helpful, and start over, reapply, go to the Planning Commission, have that information. And, as Commissioner Nelson said, I think that's obviously cheaper for the developer. It's also cheaper for the county, because if you move forward, and if we're saying you're not allowed to do this under your ordinances and file a lawsuit, you're stuck with legal fees and time, and it's going to cost everybody if you go down a bad path of not requiring to do it right. And so I think just responding to your concern about, well, I don't feel like we need an EAW, but if you don't have sufficient information in front of you, it'd be cheaper and more cost-effective for everybody, including the developer, to make them come forward with the proper information at the beginning and start over.
And I see where you're coming from, but I'll say it one more time, it's a gravel pit, and it's not that complicated.
I can't hear both. I don't,
I can't.
I don't understand.
Go ahead, Richard.
It's just a gravel pit. That's all it is. And if we turn it into something big and make it really expensive, we can do that. State of Minnesota and a lot of government people make everything so hard. I don't know why anybody does anything in Minnesota, to tell you the truth. I was born and raised here, so I'm going to stay here. But I deal with the Pollution Control Agency all the time, and I look at the ridiculous things they make us do. And this is just another, for me, it's a gravel pit. It's a ridiculous thing to do a study on what it's going to do. It's like I said, when everybody leaves here, they're all going to hurt the environment. Yet we don't ride bicycles, we drive cars, and we need roads. And our county needs gravel. Who knows that we might not get gravel out of that pit instead of hauling it all the way across the county. That's all I'm saying. This, you can complicate this as much as you want, but it's really not that serious. And I know the dust can be addressed, and I know the noise, and the noise is not that loud. I live on Highway 59, and between the motorcycles and the straight pipes, but I live there. That's where it is. I live out in the country. If I wanted to control the environment, I would move into Detroit Lakes, and then maybe into a condo, and I would know exactly everything that goes on around me. I would have a pretty good handle of what's going to happen. But if you move out into this rural area, you have to understand that there's other people that own property out there too. Everybody's got a different idea of what their property should be used for. And if you want to control everything, move right into town here. But if you want to make everything so expensive, that's what we're doing here, because one more time, it's just a gravel pit. I wish these guys had more experience in being in a gravel pit. They might see that gravel pit makes my house look really quiet, or my house, where I live, it's steady noise.
I do have experience with gravel pits, Richard. I mean, it's not that I don't agree with you. It's just, we also have to think of the best interest of the county and how we're going to move forward. And do we want to subject the county to a lawsuit, essentially?
Mr. Chair, coming in today, I wasn't decided, but I was leaning more towards not requiring an EAW, because I think it's a project that might not meet the threshold. But the points that Tammy brought up today about the lack of plan that was presented and the future applicants, what they're going to be required, I mean, is significant to me. It's a significant deficiency that's been presented to us. So for that reason, I think we are going to have to, because this is a decision today, I'm going to have to support requiring an EAW because of that. Not because we have to have proper applications for this one, but for more so the future and what we're going to require in the future on future applications. So I'm going to make a motion to require an EAW.
Yeah, do we?
Do you want to?
Yeah, we would like to,
Said you
I'd
were
like to
gonna
have
open
everybody.
up.
Oh,
So you want to withdraw your motion?
I will
Or
just
just-
withdraw or
yeah,
not
yeah.
recognize my.
Mr. Chair, Kyle, would you finish your statement before?
Yes.
What were you saying before you got cut off there?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then also, we'd like, yeah, could you come up, Matt? Yeah,
Oh, sorry, Matt, I apologize for
yeah.
jumping the gun here.
So I've had the pleasure of sitting through all these meetings and hearing all this information. And I just.
Oh, sorry, sir. Yeah, state your name and address, Matt.
Matt Hedstrom, 1831 Sealy Street, Detroit Lakes, Minnesota.
And it's spelled just like it sounds.
Yep, Hedstr, not HEAD, which is on the petition.
Yeah, I saw that.
So sitting through this, and questions for the board is, this was first sent to the Environment Quality Board, right? And they sent an email back saying that you're the RGQ on this, right? So why did it go to them first? I don't know. If you're the deciding board, why did they try?
Hold on, repeat that. What was your?
It's filed with them, and then they
Okay.
distribute it. So the RGU could be different agencies. It could be the DNR, depending on the project, could be the MPCA. Basically, the petition's filed with them, then they distribute it to the correct people.
Okay. Yep. And just from experience, it's a gravel pit, and I'm hearing all these environmental issues with that and how it affects people, how it affects the landowners next to it. I live in Chesterfield Addition, which is in the city limits of Detroit Lakes. And in 2010, Becker County approved a mining operation within 100 feet of my house, which is on the border of a whole neighborhood, within 1,000 feet of Detroit Lake. So then all of a sudden, we try to get a conditional use permit to get some gravel off the premises. That's all it was. We want to develop this property, and one area of it doesn't meet specs where you could have a township road because of the grade. So we were informed by the engineer that some gravel had to be removed off premises. So we asked for conditional use permit because the only way you can sell that is to get the conditional use permit, right? So right here, I have a list that I went and I've worked with Becker County Soil and Water. This is the 2024 Becker County Certified Weed-Free Gravel Pits in Becker County. 79 of them. 79 gravel pits in 2024 that were certified. Okay? Of that, 13 of them are in Cormorant Township. 4 of them are in Lake Eunice Township. Becker County has 4 of their own. So, and all these right here gravel pits, you know how many environment studies were required? You guys, any idea? If any research on that? Okay, 1. Stratas. And if you guys are familiar with it, it's on County Road 6, which has train tracks that haul gravel to North Dakota every day. There's a conveyor system that goes underneath the County Road 6, and they're within 1,000 feet. Their land is within 1,000 feet of Long Lake, which I think is a nice lake too.
Do you know how many of them had a discretionary EAW petition filed?
Of them? And
That's the problem we have here.
Yeah, that was Strata. Yeah. So what you're saying, and then you're setting a precedence, right? Because if you're going to have 78 of them, never had an issue. And now all of a sudden this one, which given the indication, this is in a urban area. And I know you've all been out there. And this is not an urban area. There's 2 residents that are very close to this property. One is my son's, and the other one is the Millers. And that the Millers is a concern. I really do. I mean, because I had a gravel pit by my house for Marty Salmons for 7 years. And there was thousands and thousands of truckloads of gravel right down 22 over to the airport to fill that in. And I went to that township meeting saying, you know what, I don't want this in my backyard. Okay? Do not. I thought the noise is going to be terrible. The dust, we won't be able to have our windows open. We'll be dusting every day. And our kids riding their bikes all of them are gonna get run over. And guess what? It was passed. 100 feet from my house. 7 years, I got to listen to that. But in the end of it, when it was all said and done, was it terrible? No. Did anybody die from silicone dust? No. Was there radon gas coming to my house every day? I don't know that. But I'm still here healthy. So with this whole process, I really struggle with this petition because I've read through it 20 times. And I'd love to sit down and go with her. But she makes a lot of comments in here that they're untruths. It's like a fear factor. It's like, I'm going to say this, and if they believe it, then it's true. Like she says in here that this is an urban area that's going to affect thousands of people. How do I know that? I have to believe her because she's saying it. She says in her, the county must treat similarly situated applicants the same. So 78 of these people are different than our project. We're just trying to level off some hills, take that gravel out of there so we can develop the property. We're not building a gravel pit. Another term she used in here, and she has it, parentheses, temporary. What is temporary? When you get a conditional use permit of 5 years, is that temporary? I thought it was. Because if it's not temporary, it's forever. So yes, it's temporary. If we could do it in 1 year, we'd have that gravel out of there in 1 year. Do we know how many truckloads that's going to be? I can't tell you how many truckloads that's going to be to get that out of there. I'm not the expert. I am, and I'll tell her, I agree with her. I am not an experienced developer. Okay. I bought some land so my son could have a house and has acreage around it. And we want to develop that land. And if we could have done it without taking any gravel off of it, it would have been done like that. We would have hauled gravel in, many truckloads to build a road, but we wouldn't haul any out. But in this situation where there is gravel there and we want to get rid of it, do you want to just give it away? Because with your understanding, if we get a land altering permit, right, we can do whatever we want on that land, correct? Barry?
To some extent, yes.
Yeah, to some extent. But could we haul that gravel off and just get rid of it?
Yes.
Just can't sell it.
Yes, just can't sell it.
Yeah, we do it all the time.
Yep. So basically, I could get a hold of Tori Sonnenberg, say, Tori, I need to develop this land. I need this much gravel hauled off there. And you can haul it down to county roads, and it's going to go to wherever you give it away. Okay? And fine. But the big issue here, I don't think it's environment, to be honest with you, because I got a lot of emails and text messages from people. It's more of a, well, it's in our neighborhood, and we didn't have an opportunity to get this. And there is some jealousy. I could read you a text message saying that two, he called us not very nice names, guys snarfed this up, and this was to the seller saying, you left $1 million on the table. So are you mad about the environment, or are you mad about not having the opportunity to purchase this land? And, okay. So that's my issue. I mean, if you want to start doing EAWs to every gravel pit that opens up in Becker County, have at it. Everybody though is going to spend $20,000. It takes 4 to 8 months. And the end game of this is not having an EAW. The end game of this, and how many times you've been asked, is why don't they pull their petition or their request? That's at the tech meeting twice. Why won't they just pull it? Because they're not going to be happy if we do an EAW and it comes back, we need to do this and this, and then we do all that, and then what's the next step? Is it safety for traffic? Is it the dust? You're reaching for straws. It's like, well, these two guys who are local boys who bought some land, we don't want them to develop it because it's in our backyard. And there's been a lot of hate, a lot of mean words said. I've been called a lot of names. And all I did was buy 100 acres from a guy at pickleball that wanted to sell his land and approached us about selling it. It wasn't us. And there's text messages saying, well, how did they con you in? Or can you help us out and go to the board and write a letter to them saying how they conned you into selling it to them because somebody else wanted to buy it for even more and you didn't sell it to them. It's like, I don't understand. And you know, and again, the order of the EAW, it's a ploy. It's just the first step to request to stop the whole project to make sure nothing happens out there. And I said common sense would say, when you've never ordered one of these except for a project that was a 20-year project, that was a huge amount of acres, you know, with railroad tracks, yes, and that was within 1,000 feet of lake, that absolutely needs an EAW. This magnitude of project, how small it is, just trying to not open a gravel pit, an operating gravel pit, just hauling gravel out. I'm sorry, I disagree with you, Barry, there.
Mr. Chair, the problem is in the application, we don't know what, it doesn't state just going to haul this gravel. I mean, it needed more detail.
Okay. But you know, Barry, with everything that we do, you add screening, you add this, you add that. You can add any conditions you want to this at the time. But now if you send these guys for that $20,000 EAW and then you tell them no after it comes back, because it's going to come back saying nothing. It's a gravel pit. It's not, there's not an investment. So that's what it's, I already know what the EAW is going to say. And now, so then are you going to say, yeah, okay, go ahead, or are we going to say no after they spend that money? I don't know why they would be treated any different than the rest of the gravel pits in the county.
This issue specifically is the data that we've received is not detailed to tell us those things. And
you can't, let me ask you, can you answer that at the time that you vote on this?
But today, we have to act today.
We do, we have to act today. So let's act and not make them get an EAW. Let's do the right thing. Don't make them jump through these hoops. And when they come to us, then you can put conditions on it or say no. But don't make them do this and then say no later. Because if you do that,
I don't disagree with you, but what's concerning to me is the next project.
And we should do the same thing with the next project. We are people with common sense, and we should not be making developers jump through hoops and go through unnecessary steps. And this is the problem. It's a rural area. It should be treated like a rural area. And that's what it is. Everybody I like living out in the country too, but I put up with different things that go on out there.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Kyle. If it's 40 acres, it's mandatory, correct?
Yeah.
So there is mandatory requirements for an EAW at 40 acres. Now, if you wanted, I mean, you could go on the offensive and argue that this is a 90-acre project, but they're only asking for 20 acres to mine the gravel and moving it on the rest of it. So if it was a 90-acre project, we wouldn't even be here today. It would be required before the.
But it's not that, it's 20.
My question is, you know, going through this, because I've been told it's inadequate, it's this, it's that. I've probably looked at just a handful that we've done in the past few years. One is out near Becker Lake, that's the Dale Renner site. We gave one to Daryl Bergstrom on Height of Land. We gave one to Colin Metry. We gave one to Roger Clem. None of that information is much different, nor is it extremely extensive. The only extensive application I've ever seen regarding gravel was Strata. So when I'm looking at this and we're administering this, and I know the one thing missing was that reclamation plan, but I think what the developer would say is, obviously we're going to mine this, and in a couple of years we're going to lay the topsoil back over. I'm not sure what we're going to gather after today. They're going to come and say the same thing they've said already. So I would like, rather than, to avoid this in the future, and Commissioner Nelson, you've said it once, if you did order it, they have the opportunity to withdraw. I'm guessing that's what they would do, hearing everything that they've heard today, what they need to provide. What is it? Wait,
Well,
does
that,
somebody want to know exactly how many trucks are going to come out of there a day, because they can't provide that. They're not washing materials there. They're going to do some crushing in the fall. I'm sure that crusher will move on site depending on where they're mining. I'm sure it's going to be immediately next to the road, and as they go, it's going to move. But I think for everybody, we should identify what is missing or what should be gathered, so when they do come back or what have you, that there's somewhat of an idea of what the group wants.
And I follow up with that. As he said, have you all looked back at other applications? Because I've been told in here that ours is a scant effort. But when you got 12 applications that were approved were exactly like our application, and I've never heard of a less than one sentence answer, because that to me, that's one word, but she calls it less than one sentence. All those applications are going to be so similar that you wouldn't be able to tell them apart. But yet this one, because of the location of it, is being really scrutinized.
And because we have a discretionary EAW in front of us.
Yeah.
All of the rest of them, we haven't,
Yeah.
right? Like, we haven't had a mandatory EAW, so we didn't have to decide on that. We didn't have to look at the information to decide, do we have enough information to address all of the stuff on the EAW? Unfortunately, in this case,
Commissioner Gibson, do you think next time, then, like the project on 54, that when these people find out that this is all you got to do, is get a GoFundMe page, hire a Vogel law firm, and require this? It's going to happen on every gravel pit that's going to want to open in Becker County. It is going to. If not, I'm going to pay very close attention to it.
So we're setting a precedent right now, is what we're doing. And we should be very careful what we do. Be careful how we spend
on both sides,
their money. Well, I'm going to say it one more time. It's a gravel pit. They're everywhere.
we've also denied gravel pits. Planning and Zone has denied down by Cormorant Church, the gravel pit that was right next to the cemetery was denied. I mean, there's been denials before the board of the whole gravel pit. There was a second one too, but that failed in planning and zoning, and they didn't. So
Going back to what I said earlier, you can get a land alteration and pull it out of there, and there'll be no EAW. So
And it wouldn't change anything. It's going to come out of there just the same as it's, yeah.
So then it comes down to like, your EAW is, say, basically does this, okay, we pull it, our conditional permit, we get the land permit, we pull all the gravel out of there, we develop it, how we're going to develop it, and be done with it, because that's, if you vote for an EAW, that's what, it's going to be the plan. We will have to just go that route with it.
Yeah, and what would change in the operation? Nothing. A crusher. A crusher is not a big deal. I don't care. Go sit by them.
what would change is there'd be absolutely no condition.
Yeah, and they would lose a bunch of money. So we talk about this developing at the EDA all the time, trying to find people to develop property because we're short of housing in Becker County. And we have a developer sitting in front of us, and we're going to make it as hard as we can for him because these people hired an attorney. Great. Because none of us have any experience of what a gravel pit is, I guess. That's shocking to me, but.
And then we've tried to jump through all the hoops, to get this conditional use permit. We went to Becker Soil and Water. We had them out twice. I don't know what else you need to do, unless you have to submit a 40-page application to explain everything that you do when that hasn't been required in the past. Because we'll review other applications that you guys approved, but they are in different neighborhoods. So this is, and my son lives right next to this. He's the closest resident to this. And did you think I'd have an operating gravel pit next to the house my son just bought?
Well, Mr. Chair, I would say that Dean Miller and Sue Spitzer are the closest. It's, I mean,
No. Property, when you go where this is, because we're in a, back from their property line, his,
you look at the topography and you see where that hill is, and it's right on their line. I mean, and it slopes down to your son's place. So the majority of work will be right in there.
And it's gonna take place whether they do an EAW or not.
I don't like the EAW today, but
Well,
I think
every Thursday, once a month, me and Erica go to the EDA and we try to find a way.
Are these
to
low-income
to pay-
housing developments?
Well, try and find a way to make housing once a month. And we look for ways to enhance developers to come in and do that. And
Chair, I don't
now we
know if
have one
this
sitting
is
in
a-
front of us
Yeah.
and we're gonna kick them in the rear end and tell them go somewhere else.
It
because
says nothing to do with the development of the
it has
project.
everything to do with the development. They bought it to develop it and then found out there's gravel there. And now it's gotta come out of there. And so we're gonna make them give it away. And it's gonna be the same, it's all gonna be the same amount of truckloads. It's-
Yeah.
This is ridiculous.
I think we need a motion.
I think we
So,
do.
yeah.
I'm gonna make a motion to not have an EAW there. That's what I'm gonna do.
So we have a motion by Richard to deny the EAW. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
So we have a motion and a second we have a motion by Richard and a second by Phil to deny the EAW. Do we have any further discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
I do have some findings of fact, with a conclusion and a decision for you. I'd like to introduce. I have a copy for each of you.
Okay.
I can summarize it. It's a 15-page document. I have copies available for anyone.
Let's go.
This is from the other meeting, correct?
This is based
The
off
tech
of
panel?
basically the whole entire record. So the planning commission, the tech panel, the petition itself. That's how it was created. Once, if this passes, I'll
Pass it out publicly.
We have a motion and a second.
Yeah, we do.
Is there a change? I mean,
No.
So basically what this document is identifying what the concerns were. From dust to radon, to noise, to vibration, to truck traffic, to groundwater quality, to chemical contamination, to endangered species, and to phase or connected actions, and then to other issues. And basically it responds to all of those items and constitutes that the evidence presented fails to demonstrate that the project may have the potential for significant environmental effects. So if you would consider adopting that in its entirety.
Could you attach that to the motion and second? Is that,
Yes, that's what I would like.
Yes.
So Richard amends it to attach this. Is that good with you too, Phil?
No, I haven't had a time
Yeah.
to review this. This is just the finding of fact. This is the log of what we talked about.
What this finding does is support your decision to not order the EAW.
Okay. I will amend.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second and an amendment. Do we have any more discussion? All right, so all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye, opposed?
Aye.
All right, motion carries. All right, do you have anything else, Kyle?
I have nothing further, Mr. Chair.
Carrie, do you have anybody else have anything for the good of the order?
Nope.
Nothing.
All right, we are adjourned.
Thank you.
I do have a concern that the commission just adopted.